In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful.
Exalted is he who took his servant by night from Al-Masjid Al-Haram to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed to show him of our signs. Indeed, he is the hearing, the seeing.
Commentary. Described in this verse is the event of Mi'raj, the ascent to the heavens, or Al-Isra, the midnight journey of the Holy Prophet, which is a signal honor and distinctive miracle of our Messenger of Allah. The word Isra, which literally means to make someone travel at night. After that, the introduction of the word Laylan also makes the sense very clear. Then, by placing this word as a common noun, the indication released was that during this event the time spent was that of a part of the night, not even that of the whole night. The journey from Al-Masjid Al-Haram to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa mentioned in this verse is called Al-Isra, and the name of the journey from here to the seven heavens is Al-Mi'raj. Isra stands proved under the definitive textual authority of this verse, and the Mi'raj finds mention in the verses of Surah An-Najm, and is proved by the hadith appearing in an uninterrupted succession. The word Bibdiki, his servant, used here for the Holy Prophet is special. It shows that, in this magnificent setting of honor and welcome, when Allah Ta'ala, on His own, elects to call someone His servant, a unique bond of love lies embedded therein, and that this is the highest honor any man could ever have. This is similar to what has been said in another verse, and the servants of our Rahman, the most merciful, are those who walk on the earth gently. Al-Furqan, Surah Al-Furqan, Ayah 63, where the objective is to increase the prestige of those who are acceptable with Him. From here, we also learn that the highest achievement man is capable of is to become a perfect servant of Allah, for, on this eve of special honor, the quality of ideal certitude, out of his many attributes of perfection, was chosen. Then the presence of this expression yields yet another beneficial outcome, in that no one gets the wrong impression of divinity from this wonderful journey by night which, from its beginning to the end, is full of extra habitual miracles. This is something like what happened with the Christians who fell into deception over the event of Sayyidina Isa being raised unto the heavens. For this reason, by saying Abd, servant, it was declared that, despite all those attributes, achievements, and miracles, the Holy Prophet was still a servant of Allah, not God. The Quran, Sanad and Aima prove that the Mi'raj was physical. It is proved from the text of the Holy Quran, and from a hadith coming in uninterrupted succession mentioned later, that the entire journey of the Isra and Mi'raj was not simply spiritual. Instead, it was physical, like the journey of anyone else. The very first word of the Holy Quran in this surah, sub-in, carries a hint in this direction, because this word is used to register wonder or introduce a great marvel. Had the Mi'raj been merely spiritual, just a matter of dream, what was there so unusual about it? As for a dream, every Muslim, even every human being, can see it and report that he or she went to the heavens, did this and did that. The second indication embedded in the word, Abd, servant, also points out in the same direction, because Abd is no spirit all by itself. Instead, it is the name of the combination of body and spirit. In addition to that, when the Holy Prophet related the event of Mi'raj to Sayyidah Hani, may Allah be pleased with him, she advised him not to mention it before anyone, otherwise people would falsify it even more. Had this been the matter of a dream, what was there in it that needed to be falsified? After that, when he did tell people about it, the disbelievers at Mecca called it a lie and made fun of him, so much so that some neo-Muslims became apostates, murtad, after hearing the news. If this would have been the matter of a dream, the likelihood of such reactions was least warranted, and that he had experienced some spiritual Mi'raj in the form of a dream, before this or after that, does not become contrary to it. According to the majority of Muslim scholars, the word Ariya in the verse of the Quran, and we showed you the scene Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 60, means Raya, seeing, but it has been expressed through the word Ruya, which is frequently used in the sense of seeing a dream. The reason for this expression could be that this thing has been called Ruya in the sense of a simile. This is like someone seeing a dream. And if Ruya is taken to mean dream itself, then it is also not too far out to say that the event of Mi'raj, in addition to its being physical, also transpired before or after it in the form of a spiritual Mi'raj as a dream as well. Therefore, the saying that it was a dream, reported from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, and al-Mu'minin Sayyidina Aisha, may Allah be pleased with him, is also correct in its place, but it does not necessarily imply that physical Mi'raj did not take place. It appears in Tafsir Al-Qur'an that the ahadith relating to the event of Al-Isra are recurrent and uninterrupted. Nakash has reported related narratives from 20 Sahaba of the Holy Prophet. Then, Qadi Iyad has given additional details in Al-Shifa, quote by Burnham ibn Kathir, may Allah have mercy on him, has in his tafsir reported all these narratives, and after applying the standard rules of scrutiny has mentioned the names of 25 Sahaba from whom these reports come. Their names are 1. Say Ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab 2. Say Ibn Ali al-Murtada 3. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Masud 4. Say Ibn Abu Har al-Ghifari 5. Say Ibn Malik ibn Sa'saha 6. Say Ibn Abu Hurairah 7. Say Ibn Abu Sa'id al-Khudri 8. Say Ibn Abdullah ibn Abbas 9. Say Ibn Shaddad ibn Aus 10. Say Ibn Ubay ibn Ka'b 11. Say Ibn Abd Rahman ibn al-Quraz 12. Say Ibn Abu Hayya 13. Say Ibn Abu Layla 14. Say Ibn Abdullah ibn Umar 15. Say Ibn Jabir ibn Abdullah 16. Say Ibn Hudhayfa ibn Yaman 17. Say Ibn Burayda 18. Say Ibn Abu al-Ansari 19. Say Ibn Abu Yuma 20. Say Ibn Samira ibn Jundab 21. Say Ibn Abu al-Hamra 22. Say Ibn Suhaib al-Rumi 23. Say al-Amhani 24. Al-Mu'min Sayyidina Isha 25. Sayyidina Asma bin Abu Bakr. After that, Ibn Kathir said, as for the hadith of Al-Isra, there is a consensus of all Muslim on it. Only heretics and atheists have denied it. Ibn Kathir, a brief account of Mi'raj is reported by Ibn Kathir. After having explained the present verse in his tafsir along with a detailed background of relevant ahadith, Imam Ibn Kathir, may Allah have mercy on him, has said, the truth of the matter is that the journey of Isra came to pass when the Holy Prophet was awake, not dreaming. From Makkah al-Mukarramah to Bayt al-Maqdis, the journey was covered on Burak, a special heavenly horse to ride. When he reached the gate of Bayt al-Maqdis, he tied the Burak close to the gate, entered the masjid of Bayt al-Maqdis and offered 2 rakat of Tahiyyat al-Masjid, prayer in honor of the mosque facing its orientation. After that, a staircase was brought which had steps to go up from below. Through this staircase, he went to the first heaven. After that, he went to the rest of the heavens. Only Allah knows the reality of the staircase, what it was, and how did it work, and things like that. In our day, too, many kinds of stairs are in use. There are stairs that escalate automatically, and there are elevators that take one up. Therefore, falling into any doubt or suspicion about this miraculous staircase is not right. On every heaven, the resident angels greeted him, and on every heaven he met blessed prophets who were stationed on a particular heaven, such as Sayyidina Musa on the 6th heaven, and Sayyidina Ibrahim Khalilullah on the 7th heaven. After that, he went beyond the stations of all these blessed prophets, and reached a plain where he could hear the sound of the pen writing destinies. And he saw the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the far tree in Jannah, on which moths in gold and variegated colors were falling from above by the command of Allah, and which was surrounded by angels of Allah. And it was at this place that the Holy Prophet saw Inna Jibril al-Amin in his real form with 600 wings. And right there, he saw flag in green that had the horizon all covered up. And he also saw Al-Bayt al-Ma'mur, the well-attended house believed to be located in Jannah exactly above the Baytullah in Makkah, sitting by which was the founder of the Kaaba, Sayyidina Ibrahim, with his back reclining against its wall. 70,000 angels enter this Bayt al-Ma'mur every day, who shall be waiting for their turn to re-enter their right through the day of Qiyamah. And the Holy Prophet saw the Jannah and the Jahannam with his own blessed eyes. At that time, first came the command that his people were being obligated with 50 prayers, then these were reduced to 5. This shows the importance and merit of Salat as being the foremost out of all acts of ibadah. After that, he alighted back into Bayt al-Maqdis, and with him, so did the blessed prophets he had met on different heavens, as if they had come to see him off as far as Bayt al-Maqdis. At that time, as it was time for Salah, he offered the prayer with all prophets. It is also probable that this Salah was the Salah of Fajr the same day. Ibn Kathir says that this event concerning the prayer with prophets led by the Holy Prophet has come to pass, as held by some, before he went to the heavens. But as obvious, this event took place after the return, because it has been reported in the incident relating to his meeting with blessed prophets at different heavens that it was Sayyidina Jibril who introduced him to all prophets. Had this event relating to his leading the prayer passed earlier, no introduction was needed there, and, for that matter, it is obvious enough that the real purpose of this journey was to visit with the heavenly hosts. Doing that first appears to be more likely. Once he was done with the real mission, all prophets came to say goodbye to him up to Beit al-Maqdis, and by making him the imam of the prayer through a signal from Sayyidina Jibreel, his precedence over others was demonstrated practically. After that, he departed from Beit al-Maqdis riding Burak and reached Makkah al-Mu'azzama while it was still dark. And Allah, the Pure and the High, knows best the testimony of a non-Muslim about the event of Mi'raj. It appears in Tafsir ibn Kathir that Hafiz Abu Naim al-Isbahani, in his book, Dalil al-Nubuwah, has reported a narrative from Muhammad ibn Kad al-Khwarazi on the authority of Muhammad ibn Amr al-Waqidi giving details of the event as follows. The scholars of hadith say that al-Waqidi is weak in hadith narrations, but a cautious muhaddith like Imam ibn Kathir has reported his narration for the reason that this matter is not connected with Aqid or Hal and Haram, and in such historical matters his narration is trustworthy. Muhammad Shafi eager to use this occasion to say things about the Holy Prophet which show his insignificance. But says Abu Sufyan, nothing stopped me from doing that except that I may slip and say something which turns out to be a lie, and I stand disgraced in the eyes of the emperor, and my own comrades keep taunting me for being a liar. Certainly, and it occurred to me that I should relate the event of Mi'raj before him. The emperor would himself conclude from it that it was a lie. So I said, I shall describe before you what he claims to have happened to him, regarding which you will yourself realize that it was a lie. Heracles asked, what event is that? Abu Sufyan said, this claimant of prophethood says that one night he left Makkah al-Mukarramah, reached this masjid Beit al-Maqdis of yours, and then, within that night, before dawn, he returned to us in Makkah al-Mukarramah. The Holy Prophet sent Sayyidina Dihya ibn Khalifa with a blessed letter from him to the Roman Emperor, Caesar. After that, he has given a detailed account of how Sayyidina Dihya reached the emperor, delivered the letter, and how intelligent he was in his mission, an event present in the Sahih of Al-Bukhari as well as in all trustworthy books of hadith. Towards the end of it, it has been reported that Heracles, the Roman emperor, once he had read the blessed letter, ordered that all Arab traders who were visiting the country at that time should be assembled together. He wanted to investigate into the background of the Holy Prophet. The royal order was carried out. Abu Sufyan ibn Harb and those with him visiting Syria at that time with their famous trade caravan were presented before the emperor. Details of the questions asked by the emperor are present in the Sahih of Al-Bukhari and Muslim, as well as elsewhere. Abu Sufyan was really, at that time, the leading scholar of Aliyah. Beit al-Maqdis was standing close to Heracles, the Roman emperor. He disclosed that he knew that night. The emperor turned to him and inquired as to how did he come to know about it. He submitted that, as a matter of habit, he would not sleep at night until he had closed all gates of Beit al-Maqdis. That night he habitually closed all gates but one which would not close despite his effort. He summoned his staff. They all tried, but they too failed to close it. The panels of the gate remained simply unmoved from their place. It seemed as if they were trying to move some mountain. Rendered helpless, he called technicians and carpenters. They looked at the gate and decided that the weight of the building has come to rest on the panels of the gate. There was no way it could be closed before morning. When morning comes, they said, they will see how this could be fixed. Nonplussed, he returned, leaving both panels of the gate ajar. As soon as it was morning, he came back to the gate, where he noticed that someone had made a hole in the rock close to the gate of the masjid, which gave the impression that some animal was tied down there. At that time he had told his colleagues, perhaps Allah Ta'ala has caused this gate not to close today because some prophet was to come here. And then he also stated that this blessed prophet has also offered his prayer in this masjid of ours. Thereafter he has described further details. Ibn Kathir p. 24 v. 3. The date of the event of Al-Isra and Mi'raj. Imam al-Qurtubi, may Allah have mercy on him, has said in his tafsir that the narratives of hadith regarding the date of Mi'raj are quite different. According to Musa ibn Uqba, this event came to pass 6 months before the Hijrah to Medina. Sayyida Isha, may Allah be pleased with him, says that al-Mu'minin Sayyida Khadija, may Allah be pleased with him, had passed away before the injunction making Salah a fard obligation was revealed. Imam Zuri says that the event of the sad demise of Sayyida Khadija, may Allah be pleased with him, took place 7 years after the call to the mission of prophethood. According to some hadith narratives, the event of Mi'raj happened 5 years after the call to prophethood. Ibn Ishaq says that the event of Mi'raj took place at a time when Islam had spread throughout the tribes of Arabia generally. The outcome of all these narratives is that the event of Mi'raj dates back to several years before the Hijra to Medina. Al-Harbi says that the event of Al-Isra and Mi'raj has happened during the night of the 27th of Rabi'ath Thani, 1 year before Hijra, and Ibn al-Qasim ad-Dahabi says that it took place 18 months after the call to prophethood. Esteemed Mu'adithin Hadith scholars who have mentioned these different narratives have not followed it up with any decisive statement, and as commonly known, the 27th night of the month of Rajab is the night of Mi'raj, and Allah, the Pure and the High, knows best. Al-Masjid al-Haram and Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. Sayyidina Abu Dihar al-Hifari says that he asked the Holy Prophet, which masjid of this world comes first? He said, Al-Masjid al-Haram. Then he inquired, which one after that? He said, Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. Then he tried to find out the intervening time difference between the two, whereupon he said, 40 years. After that he added, as for the order of these masjid, this is it, but Allah Ta'ala has made the entire earth a masjid for us. Wherever comes the time of Salah, offer it right there. Reported by Muslim, early Tafsir authority, Mujahid says that Allah Ta'ala has made the site of Baytullah 2,000 years before he made the entire earth, and that its foundations reach as far down as the 7th strata of earth, and that Al-Masjid al-Aqsa was made by Sayyidina Sulaiman. Reported by Anas with sound chains of authority from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar, Tafsir al-Qutubi p. 137b. For an Al-Masjid al-Haram is the name of the mosque that stands around the Baytullah ash-Sharif, while, on occasions, the entire haram is also identified as Al-Masjid al-Haram. In terms of this second sense, the dichotomy of those two reports, some hold that the Holy Prophet left for the nocturnal journey, Al-Isra, from the home of Sayyidah Hani, may Allah be pleased with him, while others say that he departed from the section of Baytullah known as Hadim stands removed. If we were to take Al-Masjid al-Haram in its general sense, it is not far out to believe that he may have been there in the home of Sayyidah Hani, may Allah be pleased with him, first, then he walked over to the Hadim of Kaaba, and then began the journey of Al-Isra from there. Allah knows best. Masjid al-Aqsa and blessings of the Syrian environs. The word, hall environs, in the verse, the environs of which we have blessed, means the entire land of Syria. It appears in a hadith that Allah Ta'ala has made the land from the Arsh, divine throne, to the river Euphrates, and out of this he has bestowed particular holiness on the land of Palestine. Ra'al-Mani, the blessings it has are both religious and worldly. As for religious blessings, it has been the Qibla of all past prophets and their home and the last resting place, and that its land is green, lush and verdant with streams, rivers and fruit farms, etc. shows its worldly blessings. Sayyidina Mu'ad ibn Jabal reports that the Holy Prophet said, Allah Ta'ala says, O land of Syria, thou art my region chosen from many, and I shall make my chosen servants reach thee. Qutubi. And it appears in a hadith of the Musnad of Ahmad that the impostor will traverse the whole earth, but he will not be granted access to 4 mosques. 1. Masjid of Medina. 2. Masjid of Makkah al-Mukarramah. 3. Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. And 4. Masjid Tur.
And we gave Moses the scripture and made it a guidance for the children of Israel, that do not take other than me as disposer of affairs.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 1, for the tafsir.
O descendants of those we carried in the ship with Noah, indeed he was a grateful servant.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 1, for the tafsir.
And we conveyed to the children of Israel in the scripture that you will surely cause corruption on the earth twice, and you will surely reach a degree of great haughtiness.
Sequence of verses. Verses 2 and 3 feature in this statement, we made a guidance for the children of Bani Israel. It exhorted the Bani Israel to follow and obey the divine law. The verses that follow warn and admonish them on their disobedience. These verses mention 2 events relating to the Bani Israel, so that they serve as a lesson. To sin and disobedience. First, they increased the tempo of their hostility. Allah Ta'ala set their enemies upon them. They shook them up. The Jews got the message, cut down on their mischief, and gave the impression of having been corrected. But soon after, the same lust for mischief and misdeeds overtook them. So then, Allah Ta'ala had them punished at the hands of their enemies. The Quran mentions 2 events, while history carries 6 like these. 1. The first event came to pass some time after the demise of Sayyidina Suleiman, the founder of Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, when the ruler of Beit al-Maqdis became irreligious and corrupt. The ruler of Egypt attacked him and took away the gold and silver of Beit al-Maqdis. But he did not demolish the city and the masjid. 2. The second event relates to the period nearly 400 years after that. Some Jews settled in Beit al-Maqdis started idol worship, while the rest began disputing among themselves. This ill omen prompted another ruler of Egypt to attack them, which somewhat affected the city and the masjid both. After that, their condition took a turn for the better. 3. The third event came to pass after some years when Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, ransacked Beit al-Maqdis. He conquered the city, looted property, and took back a lot of people as prisoners of war. When he left, he had a member of the family of the former king appointed a ruler of the city as his deputy. 4. When this new king, who worshipped idols and was corrupt, rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar, he returned, killed people, destroyed property en masse, and burned the city, razing it to rubbles. This happened nearly 415 years after the construction of the masjid. After that, the Jews went out as exiles to Babylon, where they lived in disgrace for 70 years. After that, the king of Iran attacked the king of Babylon and conquered it. Then the king of Iran showed mercy to the Jewish expatriates and ordered that they should be sent back to Syria along with things looted from them. Now the Jews had repented, having forsaken their habitual sins and misdeeds. When they resettled there, they restored the original structure of Al-Masjid al-Aqsa with the support of the king of Iran. 5. Then came the fifth event. When the Jews had peace and prosperity once again, the first thing they forgot was their past. They returned to the kind of evil deeds they were used to. Then it so happened that 170 years before the birth of Sayyidina Isa, the king who had founded Antioch, attacked, killed 40,000 Jews and took with him another 40,000 as prisoners and slaves, even desecrated the masjid, though its structure remained safe. But later, the successors of that king rendered the city and the masjid totally denuded. Soon after this, Beit al-Maqdis came under the authority of Roman kings. They put the masjid back into shape, and it was after 8 years that Sayyidina Isa was born. 6. 40 years after the physical ascension of Sayyidina Isa, the Jews chose to rebel against their Roman rulers. The Romans destroyed the city and the masjid, once again relegating it to what it was. The king at that time was called Titus, who was neither Jewish nor Christian, because long after him Constantine, I was a Christian. From that time to the time of Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, this masjid lay desolate until he had it reconstructed. These 6 events have been reported in Tafsir Al-Qur'an with reference to Tafsir Haqqani. Now, it is difficult to precisely determine as to which 2 out of those mentioned above are the 2 events mentioned by the Holy Qur'an. But as obvious, the events that are major and serious among these, in which the Jews were far too wicked and more seriously punished too, should be taken as the likely ones. The 4th and the 6th events seem to be fit for such application. At this point, a lengthy hadith narrated by Sayyidina Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, with its chains of authority ascending to the Holy Prophet, has been reported in Tafsir al-Qutubi. It also helps in determining that these 2 events mean the 4th and the 6th event. The translation of this lengthy hadith is given below. Sayyidina Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, says that he asked the Holy Prophet if Beit al-Maqdis was a great masjid in the sight of Allah. He said that it was the most distinct house of worship in the world, the greatest of all houses, which Allah Ta'ala made for Suleiman the son of Dawud, peace be on both, with gold, silver, and precious stones like ruby and emerald. The manner in which this happened was, when Suleiman started its construction, Allah Ta'ala made the jinn subservient to him. The jinn collected this gold, silver, and precious stones and used them in the making of the masjid. Sayyidina Hudhayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, says that he then asked as to where and how did all that gold, silver, and precious stones go out of Beit al-Maqdis. The Holy Prophet said, when the Bani Israel disobeyed Allah Ta'ala, got involved in sins and misdeeds and killed their noble prophets, Allah Ta'ala set King Nebuchadnezzar on them. He was a fire worshipper who ruled Beit al-Maqdis for 700 years. And when the Quran says, so when came the time appointed for the first of the 2, we sent upon you some servants belonging to us having strong aggressive power. Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 5, it means this event. The army of Nebuchadnezzar entered the Masjid of Al-Quds, killed men, took women and children prisoners, and carried away with him all gold, silver, and everything of value belonging to Beit al-Maqdis, loaded on 170,000 vehicles. He kept the treasure in his country, Babylon and kept the children of Israel as his serfs and slaves for 100 years, making them do hard labor in utter disgrace. Then Allah Ta'ala made a king from among the kings of Persia to stand up against him. He conquered Babylon, freed the remnants of Bani Israel from the bondage of Nebuchadnezzar, and made arrangements to have all valuables he had brought from Beit al-Maqdis returned back to it. Then he sternly told the Bani Israel that should they, in future, return to disobedience and sin, he too will return the punishment of killing and prison back on them. This is what the verse of the Qur'an, "Maybe your Lord would bestow mercy upon you. And if you do this again, we shall do that again." Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 8 means. Later, when the Bani Israel had come back to Beit al-Maqdis, with lost wealth and property in their possession, they went back to the life of sins and misdeeds. At that time, Allah Ta'ala set the Roman Emperor, Caesar, upon them. This is what the verse later, "When came the time appointed for the second, we sent others so that they spoil your faces." Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 7 means. The Roman Emperor launched a two-pronged attack from the land and the sea. He killed many, and many were those he took prisoners. Then he had all this wealth of Beit al-Maqdis loaded on 170,000 vehicles and took it home. There he had it deposited in the temple of gold. This wealth is still there, and there will remain until comes the Mahdi, who would bring these back to Beit al-Maqdis on 170,000 boats, and it will be at this place that Allah Ta'ala will assemble everyone, former and later. Lengthy hadith, as reported by Al-Qutubi in his Tafsir. It appears in Bayan al-Quran that the two events mentioned in the Quran refer to the disobedience of two divine codes of law. First, the disobedience to the code brought by Sayyidina Musa, and then, after the advent of Sayyidina Isa, the disobedience to the code brought by him. Thus, all events described above can be considered as relevant to the first disobedience. Now that we have gone through the details of the events, we can turn to the explanation of the verses cited above. Commentary. The outcome of the events mentioned above is that Allah Ta'ala had decreed that the Bani Israel will be successful, having the best of both worlds, the material and the spiritual, as long as they continue to obey Allah. But whenever they deviate from the dictates of faith, they shall be put to disgrace, and that they would be subjected to punishment at the hands of enemies and disbelievers. Then, not only that the enemies will run over them, destroying their lives and properties, but it would also happen that their Qibla, their sacred Beit al-Maqdis, will also not remain safe against the onslaught of that enemy. Their disbelieving enemies will barge into the mosque of Beit al-Maqdis and defile and damage it. This too will be a part of the punishment of Bani Israel themselves. The Holy Quran has told us about two events relating to them. The first one dates back to the time of Mosaic religious law, while the second pertains to the Christian. During both these periods, the Bani Israel rebelled against the divine law of the time. In the first case, a disbelieving Magian monarch was made to sit over them in Beit al-Maqdis, who brought great destruction upon them. In the second case, a Roman emperor was set against them, who killed and pillaged and made Beit al-Maqdis all demolished and rendered desolate. And along with this description, it has also been mentioned that the Bani Israel, when, on both occasions, they repented from their misdeeds, resolving not to go near them again, Allah Ta'ala reinstated their country, wealth and children.
So when the time of promise came for the first of them, we sent against you servants of ours, those of great military might, and they probed even into the homes, and it was a promise fulfilled.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
Then we gave back to you a return victory over them, and we reinforced you with wealth and sons and made you more numerous in manpower.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
And said, if you do good for yourselves, and if you do evil, you do it to yourselves. Then when the final promise came, we sent your enemies to sadden your faces, and to enter the temple in Jerusalem, as they entered it the first time, and to destroy what they had taken over with total destruction.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
Then Allah said, it is expected, if you repent, that your Lord will have mercy upon you. But if you return to sin, we will return to punishment, and we have made hell for the disbelievers a prison bed.
After having mentioned these two events, Allah Ta'ala declared His law in such matters by saying, if you do this again, we shall do that again. This law, which means, if you return to disobedience and contumacy, we shall, once again, make a similar penalty and punishment soon back upon you has been declared as valid right through the last day of Qiyamah. That its addressees were the people of Bani Israel who were present during the blessed time of the Holy Prophet serves as a reminder to them. It is being pointed out to them that they should not forget that they were seized by divine punishment twice, when they had first opposed the code of Sayyidina Musa and then the code of Sayyidina Isa. Now this was the period of the code of laws brought by the Holy Prophet. This was a period that will continue up to the last day. Let them, therefore, realize that the fate of those who chose to be hostile to it will turn out to be no different. Consequently, this was actually happened. These people became hostile to Islam and the religious code of laws brought by the Holy Prophet. When they did that, they were expelled and disgraced at the hands of Muslims, and finally Bayt al-Maqdis, their Qibla, too came under Muslim control. However, the only difference was that their past conquering kings had treated them disgracefully and had desecrated their Qibla too. Now when Muslims took over Bayt al-Maqdis, they reconstructed the great mosque of Al-Quds Asharif, which was lying demolished and desolate for centuries, and thereby reinstated the honor and reverence of the Qibla of prophets. The events of Bani Israel are a lesson for Muslims, and what has happened to Bayt al-Maqdis in our time is a part of the same chain. Obviously, the purpose of narrating these events relating to the Bani Israel in the Quran and making Muslims listen to them is to let Muslims understand that they are no exceptions to this divine law. Be it this mortal world or the eternal universe of their faith, their honor and ascendancy, possessions and wealth are inseparably tied with obedience to Allah. Whenever they veer away from their obedience to Allah and the Holy Prophet, their enemies and disbelieving tyrants of all sorts shall be empowered to prevail over them. When this happens, the desecration of their places of worship will also not remain too far. The calamity of the Jewish usurpation of Bayt al-Maqdis in our time, and the added sacrilege of setting fire to it has thrown the world of Islam into acute anxiety. In reality, it is confirming the Quran. Muslims forgot Allah and His Rasul, ignored the life waiting for them in the hereafter, and opted to scrounge for their share in the glamour and grandeur of the mortal world. When they became aliens to the dictates of the Quran and saw that the same divine law stood activated before them, a few 100,000 Jews overcame them. They also inflicted the loss of life and property on them. Worse still is the fate of one of the three greatest mosques of the world, according to the religious law of Islam, a mosque that has the distinction of being the Qibla of all prophets. It was snatched from them, and those who took it over had a track record of being the most disgraced people in this world, that is, the Jews. In addition to that, it is common observation that these people stand nowhere close to Muslims in terms of their numbers, nor do they have some significant superiority over the current collective Muslim holdings of war materials. This also tells us that this event does not really give Jews any niche of honor in the annals of world nations. However, it does provide punishment for Muslims in return for their disobedience. It clearly shows that everything that came to pass came as the punishment of our own misdeeds. And it also shows that there is no remedy for it except that we should feel ashamed of our misdeeds, make a genuine tawbah, repentance, start obeying the commandments of Allah, become true Muslims, and shun the great sins of imitating and trusting others. If we were to do just that, inshallah, true to the divine promise, Bayt al-Maqdis in Palestine shall return to us. But it is regrettable that the present-day Arab rulers and common Muslims living in Arab lands have yet to be alerted to that reality. They are still relying on foreign assistance while making plans of taking Bayt al-Maqdis back, something that does not appear to be probable, at least outwardly. Where else shall we lodge our plaint but Allah? The only weapon system and military hardware with which Bayt al-Maqdis and Palestine can return to Muslim hands are still there waiting to be picked up, returned to Allah, genuinely and passionately. Have certitude of the hereafter. Obey the injunctions of the Sharia. Stay away from imitating and trusting others in our social and political goals. Finally, let us place our trust in Allah and wage a purely Islamic jihad as enjoined by the Sharia. May Allah Ta'ala give our Arab rulers and other Muslims the ability to answer the challenge effectively. A strange coincidence. Allah Ta'ala has made two places on this earth to serve as the Qibla or orientation for those who worship Him, the Bayt al-Maqdis and the Baytullah. But the divine law relating to each of them is different. That Baytullah shall be protected, and that disbelievers shall never take it over as a security concern, and Allah Ta'ala has taken it upon Himself. The event of the elephant mentioned in Surah Al-Fil 105 of the Holy Quran came as its result. When the Christian king of Yemen, Abraha al-Sham, invaded Baytullah, Allah Ta'ala destroyed him and his army along with the contingent of elephants he had brought through birds much before he could reach Baytullah. But this law does not apply in the case of Beit al-Maqdis. Instead, as the verses cited above tell us, when Muslims go astray and start indulging in disobedience and sin, this Qibla will be snatched away from them, and it will pass into the control of disbelievers. Disbelievers, too, are the servants of Allah, but not among the accepted ones. About the first event 5. The Holy Quran said, when the people of faith start letting them be seduced to discord, sin, disobedience, and disorder, Allah Ta'ala shall set upon them such servants of His as would break into their homes, killing and plundering. At this place, the Quran has used the expression, Ibadalena, some servants belonging to us, and not Ibadana, our servants, even though it was brief. There is wisdom behind it. Is it not that the attribution of a servant to Allah is for Him the greatest conceivable honor? This is similar to what we have explained at the beginning of this very surah under our comments on the first verse, Asra ba'abdihi, may His servant travel at night. There it was said that certainly great was the honor and nearness the Holy Prophet was blessed with during the night of the Mi'raj. But when the Quran describes this event, it does not mention either His blessed name or some attribute. It simply said, Abdihi, His servant. This tells us that the ultimate perfection a human person can have, and the highest station he can occupy, is that Allah Ta'ala chooses to cherish a servant by calling him His servant. In the verse under reference, the people who meet about the punishment to the Bani Israel were kafirs, or disbelievers after all. Therefore, instead of calling them our servants, Allah Ta'ala has broken the element of attribution and connection and said, some servants belonging to us. Thus, a hint has been given here that all human beings are nothing but servants of Allah as created, but because of the absence of iman or faith, they are not the kind of accepted servants who could be attributed directly to Allah Ta'ala.
Indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most suitable and gives good tidings to the believers who do righteous deeds, that they will have a great reward.
Sequence. At the beginning of the surah, the majesty of the prophethood of the Messenger of Allah was described through the miracle of Al-Mi'raj. The present verses cite the miracle of Quran as its confirmation. Commentary. The most upright way. The way to which the Quran guides has been called Aqwam, the most upright. Aqwam can be explained by saying that it is a way that is closer to the destination, is easy and free of dangers at the same time. Qutubai. This tells us that the rules set for human life by the Holy Quran are a combination of all three features mentioned above. However, it is a different matter that man may start taking this way to be difficult or dangerous on occasions because of his own lack of comprehension. But the Lord of all the worlds has the most comprehensive knowledge of every single particle in the entire universe. Before Him, the past and the future are the same. It is He who can have the knowledge of the reality as to the function and form most beneficial for human beings. And since man is unaware of things as they are in a comprehensive setting, he cannot identify even his own good or bad fully and decisively.
And that those who do not believe in the hereafter, we have prepared for them a painful punishment.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 9, for the Tafsir.
And man supplicates for evil as he supplicates for good, and man is ever hasty.
Perhaps it is based on this congruity that it was said in verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayat 11, that man would, on occasions, pray for something in haste, something that spells out destruction for him. If Allah Ta'ala were to answer such a prayer, he would be ruined. But Allah Ta'ala does not answer such prayers instantly until man himself comes to realize that his prayer was made in error, and that it was fatal for him. Then in the last sentence of this very verse, a natural weakness of man has been mentioned in the form of a standing rule that man is by nature haste-prone. He keeps his sight trained on passing profit and loss and falls short on foresight and hindsight. He loves to go for the immediate gain and comfort, even if it happens to be only a little. He would not bat an eye to prefer it to the greater and more lasting gain and comfort. In short, this verse points out to a natural weakness of human beings in general, and some authorities in Tafsir have taken this verse to be related to a particular event. The event they refer to concerns Nadir ibn Harith, who had made a prayer in the heat of his hostility to Islam, saying, O Allah, if this Islam is the truth from you, then rain down on us rocks from the skies, or send upon us some other painful punishment. In that case, al-insan of the text would be referring to those mentioned above, or those like them.
And we have made the night and day 2 signs, and we erased the sign of the night and made the sign of the day visible, that you may seek bounty from your Lord, and may know the number of years and the account of time. and everything we have set out in detail.
Commentary. In the verses cited above, first it was declared that the alternation of night and day was a sign of the most perfect power of Allah Ta'ala. Then it was said that there was great wisdom in the making of the night dark and the day bright. As for the wise consideration behind the making of the night dark, it was not mentioned at this place. It has, however, been mentioned in other verses that the darkness of the night is appropriate and conducive to sleep and rest. The divine arrangement is such that humans and animals go to sleep in the darkness of that very night. In fact, the whole world sleeps simultaneously in harmony with its night. Had different people been scheduled to sleep at different timings, the noises made by those awake and those working at jobs would have turned the sleep of the sleeping into a nightmare. As for the day being bright, it has two elements of wisdom. Firstly, one can earn his living in the light of the day, and natural light is needed for jobs, businesses, and industries. Secondly, the alternation of night and day helps one know the number of years. For instance, the completion of 360 days tells us that a full year has gone by. Similarly, other calculations are also related to the alternation of night and day. If this variation of night and day were not there, it would have been difficult to fix the wages of the wage earner, the employment of the employee, and the time duration of transactions.
And for every person we have imposed his fate upon his neck, and we will produce for him on the day of resurrection a record which he will encounter spread open.
The sense of the book of deeds tied to the neck. It means that one's book of deeds stays with the doer no matter where or in whatever condition one is. What he or she does continues to get recorded there. When death comes, the book is closed and set aside safely. After that, when comes the last day, the day of judgment, this book of deeds will be placed in everyone's hand in order that he would himself read it and also decide himself whether he is deserving of reward or deserving of punishment. It has been reported from Qatada, may Allah have mercy on him, that it will be a day when even an illiterate person will be able to read his book of deeds. On this occasion, Al-Asbahani has reported on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Umama, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, on the day of Qiyamah, when the book of deeds belonging to people will be given in their hand, someone will notice that some of his good deeds were not recorded there. He will tell his Lord about the particular deeds missing from there. His Lord will tell him that he had erased those deeds, for he used to speak ill of people on their backs. Mashari.
It will be said, read your record. Sufficient is yourself against you this day as accountant.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 13, for the Tafsir.
Whoever is guided is only guided for the benefit of his soul, and whoever errs only errs against it. And no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another, and never would we punish until we sent a messenger.
Allah does not punish unless He sends a messenger. A clarification. On the basis of this verse, some leading Muslim jurists rule that people to whom the call of any prophet or messenger did not reach will not be subject to any punishment, despite their disbelief. There are other leading jurists who hold that those who deny the Islamic beliefs that can be understood through reasons such as the existence of God and His oneness, etc., will be punished for their disbelief, even if no call from any prophet or messenger has reached them. Of course, there will be no punishment for usual acts of disobedience and sins without prior call and transmission of the divine message by prophets. And there are still others who interpret Rasul at this place 15 in a general sense, whether he is a messenger or prophet, or whether it is the human reason itself, for the two, in a way, is a messenger of Allah after all. There will be no punishment for the children of mushriks. Commenting on the verse, and no bearer of burden shall bear the burden of another. It has been said in Tafsir Majari that this verse proves that the children of mushriks and disbelievers who died before reaching adulthood will not be punished. The reason is that they will not deserve to be punished on account of the denial and disbelief of their parents. Sayings of leading jurists differ about this issue. Its details are unnecessary here.
And when we intend to destroy a city, we command its affluent that they defiantly disobey therein. So the word comes into effect upon it, and we destroy it with complete destruction.
Sequence. Previous verses said that it is the customary practice of Allah Ta'ala that He does not send punishment upon a people until the commandments of Allah reach them through the blessed prophets, which they still refuse to obey. Given in the verses cited above is what happens on the other side, When the messages of Allah and His Messenger do reach a people, and they still show contumacy, then a mass punishment is sent over them. Commentary. A doubt and its answer. A surface look at the expressions Ida aradna, when we intend, and after that amarna, we command, in verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 12, could have triggered the doubt that destroying those people was the divine purpose from the very beginning. Therefore they were first commanded to believe and obey through the prophets. Then their indulgence in sin was made to be the cause of punishment. All this came from none but Allah Ta'ala. Is it not? If so, would these innocent people not be just about a helpless and excusable lot? The answer is that Allah Ta'ala has given man reason and choice and has determined the ways of reward and punishment. Now, if someone elects to do nothing but what brings punishment, then it is the customary practice of Allah that He would activate the causes that bring the same punishment. Thus, the real cause of punishment they receive is nothing but their own resolve and determination to remain on the side of disbelief and sin. Since this is no simple intention, therefore, they cannot be helpless and excusable. Another tafsir of this verse. The well-known sense of the word amarna is the same as appears above, that is, we commanded. But the renditions or versions, qira'at, of this word differ. In one rendition opted for by Abu Uthman an-Nadi, Abu Raja, Abu al-Aliya and Mujahid, this word has appeared with a double sound on the letter mim. Rendered as amarna, it means we made affluent people leaders and rulers, who then sank in sin, and thus became the cause of punishment for the whole people. There is a qira'ah, rendition or version, of this word credited to Sayyidina Ali ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, where it has been recited as amarna, and which has also been explained by them as having the sense of aktharna. We increase the number of, thus it comes to mean, when Allah Ta'ala sends punishment on a certain people, its initial sign is that the number of the reckless rich is increased among them, and they, through their spate of sins, become the cause of making the punishment descend upon the entire people. The outcome of the first qira'ah is that such affluent people are made the rulers of a people. The outcome of the second qira'ah is that the number of such people is increased in that society. Both versions show that the government of the affluent or the abundance of such people in a society is not something to be happy about, rather is a sign of divine punishment. Let us recapitulate. When Allah Ta'ala is angry with a people and intends to make a punishment descend upon them, there appears an initial sign of it. People who love to wallow in wealth and power are made the ruling custodians of their affairs, or, even if they do not become their actual political rulers, the number of such people is increased among the people. In both these cases, the result is the same. Drunk with the pleasures they can buy, acquire, or appropriate with their affluence and influence, they start caring less for anything else, disobey the will and command of Allah personally, as well as leave the trail for others to follow in their footsteps. In consequence, comes the punishment of Allah Ta'ala all over them. The influence of the rich over a people is a natural phenomenon. By particularly mentioning affluent people who use their wealth to pursue a life of luxury, it has been indicated that the masses are naturally affected with the deeds and morals of those rich among them and those who rule over them. When these people get used to misdeeds, the whole nation follows suit and takes to misdeeds as the only available norm of social survival. Therefore, those who have been blessed with wealth by Allah Ta'ala should be more concerned with the correction of their deeds and morals, lest they fall into the trap of a luxurious lifestyle, are heedless to self-correction, and make the entire nation go astray because of them. If so, the curse of the misdeeds that issue forth from their nation will fall on them too.
And how many have we destroyed from the generations after Noah? And sufficient is your Lord concerning the sins of His servants, as acquainted and seeing.
See Surah Al-Isra Ayah 16 for the tafsir.
Whoever should desire the immediate, we hasten for him from it what we will to whom we intend. Then we have made for him hell, which he will enter to burn, censured and banished.
Commentary. Two behavior models of human beings appear in the cited verses side by side. As for those who elect to go for the readily available benefits out of their life in this world, and the punishment that comes in its wake, the words used were, whoever opts for the immediate life herein. These words signify continuity and permanence, meaning that this punishment of hell will materialize only when one's actions are all the time motivated by material interests only, having practically no concern for the hereafter. And as for those who desire to have the hereafter and its rewards, the words used were, the sense is that as soon as a true believer were to form the intention to have the reward, of the hereafter in whatever he proposes to do. That deed of his shall stand accepted irrespective of any corrupted element having entered into something else he was intending to do. The first condition can only be that of a denier of the hereafter, therefore none of his deeds is acceptable. Then the second condition is that of a true believer. A particular deed by him that issues forth with sincerity of intention, and is for the hereafter along with the presence of other conditions, shall be acceptable. And a deed even from the same person, a deed that has no sincerity, or where other conditions are missing, will not be acceptable.
But whoever desires the hereafter and exerts the effort due to it while he is a believer, it is those whose effort is ever appreciated by Allah.
A self-opinionated deed and an act of religious innovation, no matter how appealing, is not acceptable. In this verse, Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 19, by adding the word as due, it has been made explicit that every deed and every effort is not necessarily beneficial or acceptable with Allah. Instead, the only deed or effort credible is that which is appropriate to the essential objective of the hereafter, and whether or not it is appropriate can only be found out from the statement of Allah Ta'ala and His Messenger. Therefore, even well-meaning efforts made by insisting on bland personal opinion in self-invented ways, which includes common customs of bid'ah, innovations in established religion, no matter how good and beneficial they may appear at their face, but are not appropriate to the effort made for the hereafter. Consequently, they are neither acceptable with Allah, nor are they of any use in the hereafter. Explaining the word as due, Tafsir of Maarif-ul-Qur'an says that the effort should be in accordance with sunnah. Along with it, it adds that this effort or deed should also have uprightness and firmness. In other words, this deed should be beneficial in accordance with the sunnah as well as it should be upright and constant. Doing it haphazardly or doing it in a cycle of doing and not doing is not good. It never yields the maximum benefit.
To each category we extend, to these and to those, from the gift of your Lord, and never has the gift of your Lord been restricted.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 19, for the Tafsir.
Look how we have favored in provision some of them over others, but the hereafter is greater in degrees of difference and greater in distinction.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 19, for the Tafsir.
Do not make as equal with Allah another deity and thereby become censured and forsaken.
Sequence. Previous verses mention some conditions attached to the acceptance of deeds. One of the conditions required that no deed is accepted unless it comes with iman, faith, belief, and is in accordance with Shari'ah, law and sunnah, sayings and deeds of the Prophet. In the present verses, instructions regarding some of such deeds have been given. These are rules set by the Shari'ah of Islam. Their compliance brings success in the hereafter, and their contravention, ruin. And since the most important of these conditions is that of iman, therefore, the very first injunction given here was that of belief in the oneness of Allah, Tawhid. After that come injunctions relating to the rights of the servants of Allah, Huquq al-Ibad.
And your Lord has decreed that you not worship except Him, and to parents good treatment, whether one or both of them reach old age while with you. Say not to them so much as uff, and do not repel them, but speak to them a noble word.
Commentary. It is very important to respect and obey parents. Imam al-Qurtubi says that, in this verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 23, Allah Ta'ala has made it necessary, wajib, to respect and treat parents well by combining it with the command to worship Him. This is similar to what has been said in Surah Luqman, where the inevitable need to thank Him has been combined with the need to thank one's parents. Be grateful to me, and to your parents, Surah Luqman, Ayah 14. This proves that after the obligation of worshipping the most exalted Allah, obeying parents is most important, and being grateful to parents like being grateful to Allah Ta'ala is wajib, necessary. This has its confirmation in the hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, where a person reportedly asked the Holy Prophet which is the most favored deed in the sight of Allah. He said salat its mustahab preferred time. The person asked again which is the most favored deed after that. To that he said, treating parents well. What to by the merits of obeying and serving parents in Ilad. Teach narratives. 1. In the Musnad of Ahmad, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah and Mustadrak Hakim, it has been reported on sound authority from Sayyidina Abu Darda that the Holy Prophet said, a father is the main gate of Jannah. Now it is up to you to preserve or waste it. Mashari 2. According to a report from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, appearing in Jam, my al-Tirmidhi, he and al-Mustadrak of al-Hakim, which Hakim rates as Sahih. The Holy Prophet said, the pleasure of Allah is in the pleasure of a father, and the displeasure of Allah in the displeasure of a father. 3. Ibn Majah reports on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Umama that a person asked the Holy Prophet, what rights do parents have on their children? He said, they both are your paradise or hell. It means obeying and serving parents take one to Jannah, and their disobedience and displeasure to Jahannam. 4. Al-Bayhaqi, in Shab al-Aman, and Ibn Asakir have reported on the authority of Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, for one who remained obedient to his parents for the sake of Allah, 2 gates of paradise shall remain open, and for one who disobeyed them 2 gates of hell shall remain open, and if he had just one of the 2, either father or mother, then 1 gate of paradise or hell shall remain open. Thereupon someone asked, does it, the warning of hell, hold good even when the parents have been unjust to this person? Then he said thrice, which means, yes, there is that warning of hell against disobeying and hurting parents even if they were unjust to the son. The outcome is that children have no right to settle scores with parents. If they have been unjust, it does not follow that they too back out from obeying and serving them. 5. Al-Bayhaqi has reported on the authority of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, an obedient son who looks at his parents with mercy and affection receives the reward of 1 accepted Hajj against every such look cast. People around said, what if he were to look at them like that 100 times during the day? He said, yes, 100 times too. He will keep receiving that reward. Allah is great, his treasures never run short. The punishment for depriving parents of their rights comes much before the hereafter, right here in this world too. 6. In Shab al-Aman, Al-Bayhaqi has reported on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, as for all those other sins, Allah Ta'ala defers whichever He wills up to the last day of Qiyamah, except the sin of depriving parents of their rights and disobeying them. The punishment for that is given much before comes the hereafter, right here in this world as well. All hadith reports given here have been taken from Tafsir Majari, obedience to parents, when necessary and when there is room for opposition. Muslim scholars and jurists unanimously hold that the obedience to parents is wajib, necessary, only in what is permissible and definitely not in what is impermissible or sinful. Says the hadith, there is no obedience to the created in the disobedience of the Creator. To deserve service and good treatment, it is not necessary that the parents be Muslims. To support this ruling, Imam al-Qurtubi has quoted an event related with Sayyidah Asma, may Allah be pleased with him, from the Sahih of al-Bukhari. According to this report, Sayyidah Asma asked the Holy Prophet, my mother, a mushrik, comes to see me. Is it permissible for me to entertain her? He said, Sili amaki, that is, respect the bond of relationship with your mother and entertain her. And as for disbelieving parents, there is that statement of the Quran itself, Luqman, Surah Luqman, Ayah 15, that is, if the parents of a person are kafirs and order him to become like them, then it is not permissible to obey them in this matter. But while living in this world, they should be treated in the recognized manner. It is obvious that recognized manner means that they should be treated with courtesy. Rulings. 1. As long as jihad does not become an absolute individual obligation, Far al-Ain rather remains within the degree of a collective obligation, Far al-Kifaya, until then, it is not permissible for any son to participate in jihad without the consent of parents. It has been reported in Sahih al-Bukhari, on the authority of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that a person presented himself before the Holy Prophet in order to have his permission to participate in jihad. He asked him, are your parents alive? He submitted, yes, they are. He said, Fafahima fajahad, then you carry out jihad in the service of them both. The sense is that by serving them alone you will get the reward of being in jihad. Another report also adds that the person said, I have come here leaving my parents crying behind. Thereupon he said, go. Make them laugh as you made them cry. In other words, he was to go back home and tell his parents that he would not be going for jihad without their consent. Put 2 by 2. From the event reported above, we learn the ruling that anything that rates as a collective obligation and is not an individual obligation, or necessity, then, sons and daughters cannot do that without the permission of parents. Also included here is the injunction to acquire the most perfect knowledge of religion, the ilm of din, at the highest level, and to travel to communicate and promote it. The tabligh of din, It means that anyone who has the knowledge of religion to the measure one is obligated with individually cannot travel in order to become an alim of din, scholar of religion, or travel for the dawah and tabligh of din, for it is not permissible without the permission of parents. 3. Also included under the injunction of treating parents well appearing in the Quran and hadith is good treatment with relatives and friends close to parents, especially when they are dead. In the Sahih al-Bukhari, it has been reported from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, "The noblest regard one can show to a father after his death is to treat his friends well." And Sayyidina Abu Uzaid al-Badri reports that he was sitting with the Holy Prophet when an Ansari came and asked, "Ya Rasulallah, is it that some right of my parents remains due against me even after they have died?" He said, "Yes." Praying and seeking forgiveness for them, fulfilling the promises they had made to someone, being kind and respectful to their friends, and showing mercy and generosity to such relatives who are linked in kinship only through them. Salatu ar-Rahim, these are the rights of your parents still due against you, even after them. It was the blessed habit of the Holy Prophet that he used to send gifts to lady friends of Mu'minin Sayyidah Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with him, after her demise, which was a way of fulfilling the right of Sayyidah Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with him, on him. Treating parents well, special consideration in their old age. As for serving and obeying parents, as parents, it is not restricted to any given time or age. In fact, it is necessary wajib to treat parents well under all conditions, and in every age. But there are circumstances that usually impede the fulfillment of what is necessary and obligatory. Under these circumstances, the typical response pattern of the Holy Quran comes into action to suggest ways and means through which acting according to given injunctions becomes easy. With this objective insight, it grows and trains minds through different angles, and, at the same time, it continues to emphasize that compliance of these injunctions is imperative despite such circumstances. The old age of parents, when they become helpless, depend on children for everything they need, and their life is at the mercy of children, is a terrible condition to be in. The slightest indifference shown by children at such a time breaks their heart. Then there are those physical infirmities and diseases associated with old age which make one naturally irritation prone. Furthermore, during the period of extreme old age, when usual reason and comprehension do not seem to be working, some of their wishes and demands assume the kind of proportions which children find difficult to take care of. The Holy Quran takes cognizance of these circumstances, but, while giving children the instruction to comfort them, it reminds them of their own childhood. It tells them that there was a time when they too were far more helpless, far too depending on their parents than their parents were on them at that point of time. Then, was it not that their parents sacrificed their desires and comforts for them, and went on bearing by the unreasonable child Pak with love and affection? Now, when they have become so helpless, reason and nobility demanded that the past favor done by them should be paid back. When it was said, "As they have brought me up in my childhood," in the verse, this is what has been alluded to. Some other important instructions relating to the old age of parents have also been given in the verses under study. They are as follows. 1. Do not say even of to them. Briefly explained parenthetically in the accompanying translation as a word of anger or contempt. Of covers every word or expression that shows one's displeasure. The limit is that breathing a long breath after having heard what they said, and thereby betraying displeasure against them, is also included under this very word of. In a hadith narrated by Sayyidina Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, it has been reported that the Holy Prophet said, "Had there been some other degree of hurting lesser than the saying of off, that too would have certainly been mentioned." The sense is that even the thing that hurts parents in the lowest of the low degree is forbidden too. Do not scold them. This is the second instruction. The word nar in the text means scold or reproach. That it causes pain already obvious. 3. Address them with respectable words. This is the third instruction. The first two instructions related to the negative aspects where bringing the least emotional pressure on parents has been prohibited. Given in this third instruction is a lesson in the art of conversation with parents. Talk to them softly with love, grace, and concern for them. Says the revered Tabi'i, Sa'id ibn Musayyab, like a slave talking to his strict master.
And lower to them the wing of humility out of mercy, and say, "My Lord, have mercy upon them, as they brought me up when I was small."
Submit yourself before them in humility out of compassion. This is the fourth instruction. The word jannah in the text literally means wings or sides of arms, lending the sense that one should stand in a stance of submission and humility is a mark of respect for parents. The addition of the expression out of compassion, at the end of the sentence is there to warn that this stance of grace should not be a mere show-off. Instead, it should be adopted on the strong foundation of genuine, heartfelt respect and compassion for them. Perhaps this may also be suggestive of something else as well, that showing humility before parents is practically no disgrace. In fact, it is a prelude to real honor, for it is based on concern, compassion, and kindness. 5. And say, "My Lord, be merciful to them." It means, as for the effort to provide maximum comfort for parents, it is humanly not possible. One should do whatever it is possible for him to do in order that they remain comfortable, and then, along with it, he should also keep praying before Allah Ta'ala that He, in His infinite mercy, removes all their difficulties and makes things easy on them. This last instruction is really so extensive and universal that it still continues to be valid and beneficial even after the death of parents. Through this, one can always keep serving parents. Ruling: if parents are Muslims, making a prayer for mercy in their favor is obvious. But if they are not Muslims, making this prayer within their lifetime will be permissible, with the intention that they be delivered from worldly distress and that they be blessed with the tawfiq of a man. After their death, making a prayer of mercy for them is not permissible. Abridged from Al-Qutubi, a remarkable event. Al-Qutubi has reported from Sayyid ibn Jabir ibn Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him, that a man came to the Holy Prophet and complained that his father was taking away what belonged to him. He said, "Go and ask your father to come here." Right then came Sayyid ibn Jibril and told the Holy Prophet, when his father comes, ask him about the words he has composed in his heart and which his own ears have not heard yet. When this man returned with his father, he said to the father, "Why is it that your son complains against you? Do you wish to take away what belongs to him?" The father said, "You better ask him on whom do I spend other than his paternal or maternal aunts or myself." The Holy Prophet said an expression which denoted that he had understood the reality, and there was no need to say anything else after that. He asked the father of the man, "What are those words that have not yet been heard by your own ears?" The father said, "Ya Rasulallah, Allah Ta'ala increases our faith in you through everything." Thereby he meant that he got to know what was not heard by anyone, which was a miracle indeed. Then he submitted, "It is true that I had composed some lines of poetry within my heart, something not heard even by my own ears." The Holy Prophet said, "Let us hear them." Then he recited the following lines of poetry he had composed. "I fed you in childhood and took care of you when young. You lived on my earnings alone. When on some night you became sick, I spent the whole night remaining awake and restless because of your sickness, as if your sickness was my own and not yours, and because of which my eyes kept shedding tears throughout the night. My heart kept trembling lest something happens to you, though I knew that the time of death is fixed, being neither early nor late. So when you reached the age and maturity that I had always been looking forward to you, then you made hard-heartedness and harshness my return, as if you were the one doing me favors and giving me rewards. Alas, if it was not possible for you to fulfill my right as a father, you could have at the least done what a good neighbor would have done. So you could have given me the least right of a neighbor and abstained from becoming miserly in my case and my own property." After having heard these verses of poetry, the Holy Prophet held his son by his shirt and said, meaning that, "Go, you and your property, everything belongs to your father." Tafsir Al-Qutubi 246b. 10. These verses have also been reported in Hamasa, the famous book of Arabic literature, as attributed to the poet Umayyah ibn Abbas, Dalt. Others say that Abd al-Allah wrote them. Still others attribute them to Abu al-Abbas al-Amah. Al-Qutubi. Marginal notes.
Your Lord is most knowing of what is within yourselves. If you should be righteous in intention, then indeed He is ever, to the often returning to Him, forgiving.
In the last verse quoted above, your Lord knows best what is in your hearts. Any possible scruple that remains in the hearts of children as to how they were going to comply satisfactorily with divine injunctions relating to consistent observance of etiquette and respect due to parents. They have to live with parents all the time. Then, living conditions of the parties vary. They do not stay the same all the time. Maybe, on some such occasion, they happen to utter something that turns out to be against the norms of due etiquette, then they stand facing the weighing of hell. Given this probability, it would become extremely difficult for them to wriggle out from this situation. In this verse, it is to remove this doubt and heart-burning that it was said, should any such word come to be uttered out of sheer anxiety or lack of discretion, but without intentional disrespectfulness, then one must repent and resolve not to do that ever again. If so, since Allah Ta'ala knows the secrets of hearts and knows what was uttered was not to show disrespect or hurt, things will turn out for the better, for He is most merciful. The word al-Awabin, those who turn to Him, used here carries the sense of at-Tawbin, those who repent before Him. The Hadith calls the 6 rakat after Maghrib and the Nawafil al-Ishraq as the Salah al-Awabin. Embedded here is the hint that the tawfiq, ability, of these prayers is granted only to those who are the Awabin and Hawabin.
And give the relative his right, and also the poor and the traveler, and do not spend wastefully.
Commentary on fulfilling the rights of relatives vigilantly. Previous verses were devoted to teachings about the rights of parents and how they should be duly respected. In the present verses, the rights of common relatives have been taken up with the guideline that a relative should be given his or her right. The least degree in which this could be done is to share with them the graces of good social living and treat them well. And if they are needy, helping them financially in accordance with one's personal capacity is also included therein. From this verse, at least this much stands proof that everyone has also been obligated with the fulfillment of the right of one's common relatives. That is it. How much is it? Those details have not been mentioned here, but a broad-based mercy and generosity for relatives and a good social interaction with them are certainly included there. According to Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, financial help can be extended to 2 kinds of relatives under this very injunction. 1. A relative in the category of near blood kinship due to rahim and in the degree of sanguinity precluding marriage. Maram, a woman or child who neither has the wherewithal to eke out an existence nor has the ability to earn for it. 2. Similar is the case of a relative in the category of near blood kinship and in the degree of sanguinity precluding marriage. If handicapped or blind, not having enough money and property in his or her possession to eke out an existence, their relatives who have the necessary means should help them both. Taking care of the essential expenses is a duty enjoined on all of them. If there are several relatives in the same degree of extended means, the expenses will be divided over all of them, and the subsistence allowance of the needy will be given in this manner. This rule also has its sanction from the verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, which says, and on the heir it falls likewise, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 233, Tafsir Majari. In this verse, it has been said that the necessary financial assistance provided to the needy and the wayfarer and the mercy and generosity practiced in the case of kinsfolk was their right. The purpose is to point out that the giver has no reason or occasion to harp on the favor done before or behind them, because their right is his duty. The giver is simply doing his duty and not showering favors on anyone.
Indeed, the wasteful are brothers of the devils, and ever has Satan been to his Lord ungrateful.
The prohibition of spending wastefully, tabdir. The Quran expresses the sense of spending wastefully through 2 words. 1. Tabdir, translated as squandering recklessly. 2. Israf, extravagance. The prohibition of tabdir is already clear in verse Surah Al-Isra, ayah 26 here. The prohibition of israf has its proof in the verse of Surah Al-Araf, and do not be extravagant, Surah Al-Araf, ayah 31. Some commentators say that both words are synonymous. Any spending in sin, or disobedience, or a wrong occasion or place is called tabdir and israf. There are others who refine it by saying that tabdir is spending in sin, or on some totally unsuitable occasion or place, while israf is spending beyond the level of need on an occasion where it is permissible to spend. Therefore tabdir is emphatically worse than israf. Al-Mubadhirin, the squanderers, were called brothers to Shaitan and his cohorts. Of the early tafsir authorities, Mujahid has said, if someone spends everything he has for the sake of what is incumbent, it is no tabdir, squandering recklessly, and should he spend even 1 mud, half kilo, for what is false, non-incumbent, and it is tabdir. Say, Ibn Abdul ibn Masud, may Allah be pleased with him, said, spending out of place in what one has not been obligated with is tabdir. Majari, Imam Malik said, tabdir is that one acquires wealth and property lawfully and cleanly, as he has been obligated to do, but spends it off in ways counter to it, and this is also given the name of israf, extravagance, which is haram, unlawful. Imam al-Qutubi, may Allah have mercy on him, said, as for things unlawful and impermissible, spending even 1 dirham for these is tabdir. And spending limitlessly to fulfill permissible and allowed desires, which exposes one to the danger of becoming a needy beggar in the future, is also included under tabdir. Yes, if someone keeps his real capital holdings intact and goes on to spend its profit liberally to fulfill his permissible desires, then that is not included under Tabgir. I quote 2 by V. 10p. 248.
And if you must turn away from the needy, awaiting mercy from your Lord which you expect, then speak to them a gentle word.
Commentary. What an unusual moral training is being given here in this verse through the Holy Prophet to the entire Muslim community. It is being said to them, if people needing help come to you, and you have nothing to give to them, and for that reason you are compelled to turn away from them, even then, this act of turning away or excusing yourself should not be with an air of indifference, or with an attitude that could be insulting for the addressee. In fact, this turning away or seeking of excuse should be coupled with an expression of your inability or constraint. Regarding the background of the revelation of this verse, a report from Sayyid ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, says that some people used to ask for financial help from the Holy Prophet, and he knew what would be given to them would be spent in the spreading of disorder. Therefore, he refused to give it to them, for this refusal was a device to stop them from indulging in disorder. Thereupon, this verse was revealed. Quote 2 by, in the Musnad of Sid ibn Mansur, it has been mentioned on the authority of Sayyidina Sabit ibn Hakam, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet had received some supply of cloth. He distributed it over those deserving. After that came some others when the supply was finished, and he had nothing to give. It was about the later that this verse was revealed.
And do not make your hand as chained to your neck, or extend it completely, and thereby become blamed and insolvent.
Commentary. The instruction for moderation in spending. In this verse, the Holy Prophet is the direct addressee, while the entire Muslim Ummah is being addressed through him. The purpose is to teach a just and moderate course in spending, which does not prevent one from helping others, nor does it end up in a lot of trouble for him. There is an event in the background of the revelation of this verse. Ibn Marjawayh has reported it on the authority of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, and al-Badhawi, on the authority of Sayyidina Jabir. According to this report, a boy came to the Holy Prophet and said, "My mother asks of you a shirt." At that time, the Holy Prophet had no shirt except the one that was on his blessed body. He told the boy, "Come some other time when we have enough means to respond to what your mother is asking for." The boy went back home and returned and said, "My mother says that you kindly give her the very shirt you have on your blessed body." Hearing this, the Holy Prophet took the shirt off and let him have it. His body was left bare. Came the time for Salah. Sayyidina Bil, may Allah be pleased with him, called the Adhan. But when he did not come out as usual, people were worried. When some of them went in, they saw that he was sitting bare-bodied without the shirt. Thereupon, this verse was revealed.
Indeed, your Lord extends provision for whom He wills and restricts it. Indeed, He is ever, concerning His servants, acquainted and seeing.
Spending in the way of Allah so liberally as would throw one in trouble, the pros and cons of it. The verse, given the outer view, seems to prohibit the kind of spending following which the spender himself ends up becoming poor and needy, a prey of all sorts of hardships and anxieties. Tafsir authority Al-Qutb has said that this injunction covers the general condition of Muslims who would, after such spending, find the resulting hardships distressing, and the whole thing would make them contrite over past give-outs and grieve about it. The word musra, empty-handed, of the Holy Qur'an provides a hint in this direction, as in Tafsir Majari. As for the people of high determination, who would not be emotionally disturbed by hardships that may come later, and would still go on fulfilling rights of those who hold such rights, this restriction does not apply to them. This is the reason that it was the customary practice of the Holy Prophet that he would not store anything for tomorrow. What came today was spent out today. And there were occasions when he would remain hungry, reaching the outer limits of having to tie a piece of rock against his stomach to simulate the weight of food. Then there were many among the noble Sahaba who had spent their entire wealth and property in the way of Allah during the blessed period of the Holy Prophet, who did not categorically prohibit it, nor did he blame them for it. This tells us that the prohibition contained in this verse is for those who cannot brave the hardships of poverty and hunger, and they would start to rue after spending that they would have been better off if they had not spent in the way of Allah. If so, this attitude would nullify the good they had done in the past. Hence the prohibition. Poorly managed spending is prohibited. And the main thing in the verse is that it prohibits spending haphazardly, in the sense that one would ignore what may happen in the near future and spend on the spot. The result is that comes tomorrow, other needy people show up, or one is required to take care of a major religious exigency, and he would then be in no position to help out. put to by, or he may be rendered equally incapable of fulfilling the rights of his family, something he is duty bound to fulfill. Majari, explaining the words reproached, empty-handed, Tafsir Majari says that the first word, malam, relates to the first condition, that is, miserliness, meaning if he were to hold back on giving out of miserliness, people would reproach him. And the word masira relates to some condition other than this, meaning that one should not exaggerate in spending to the extent that he himself becomes a pauper. If so, he will turn empty-handed, defeated, and rueful.
And do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We provide for them and for you. Indeed, their killing is ever a great sin.
Commentary. Previous verses carried a series of instructions regarding human rights. The sixth injunction appearing here is to correct a cruel custom prevailing among the people of Arabs of Jahiliyyah. During that period of time, some people used to kill their children, particularly daughters, at birth in fear of having to face the expenses on their maintenance. In the verse cited above, Allah Ta'ala has admonished them for their ignorance in assuming the responsibility of providing sustenance. Who are you to do that? This is the exclusive domain of Allah Ta'ala. He is the one who gives you your sustenance. Now, he who gives it to you shall be the one who would give it to them as well. Why then do you have to take the onus of killing children on yourselves because of this concern? In fact, by making the children proceed as recipients of sustenance at this place, Allah Ta'ala has subtly indicated that He shall give to the children first, and give it to the parents. It really means that Allah Ta'ala, when He sees His servant supporting his family or helping others poor and weak, He gives him liberally in proportion to enable him to meet his needs as well as help others. In a hadith, the Holy Prophet has been reported to have said, which means, it is because of the poor and weak among you that you are provided by Allah with your sustenance. This tells us that parents who support their family get whatever they do for the sake of weak women and children alone. Ruling. This statement of the Quran also sheds light on an issue which holds the modern world in its grip. Its movers and shakers are so scared of what they call population explosion that they are frantically promoting birth control and Planned Parenthood. This is also based on the same false assumption that they are the ones responsible for sustenance. Maybe this approach is not a sin equal in gravity to that of the killing of children, but there is no doubt about it being blameworthy.
And do not approach unlawful sexual intercourse. Indeed, it is ever an immorality and is evil as a way.
Commentary. The seventh injunction given here relates to the forbiddance of zina, fornication, adultery. Given here are two reasons as to why it has been forbidden. 1. This is a shame, gross and immodest. Whoever is denuded of modesty is denuded of human nobility itself and is rendered incapable of distinguishing the good from the bad. This is more succinctly said in a hadith. When goes your sense of shame, that could become a barrier against evil, so then you will do what you will. Therefore, the Holy Prophet has declared sense of shame, haya, as a division of faith, Iman al-Bukhari 2. It generates limitless social disorder, the consequences of which sometimes destroy whole groups of people. In our day, all sorts of crimes have increased. If investigated, the reason behind a lot of them would turn out to be some man or woman who did it. Though this crime is not directly related to the rights of the servants of Allah, but it may have been mentioned here as part of other rights taken up at this place for the reason that this crime is contagious. It brings other crimes along which disturb the rights of the servants of Allah through loss of lives and properties. Therefore, Islam has declared this crime to be more serious than any other crime. Then, it has also fixed its punishment as the harshest of all crimes because this one is a carrier of hundreds of these. It appears in hadith that the Holy Prophet said, "The heavens and the earth, the seven of them each, curse the married person who commits adultery, and the strong stench which spreads out from the private parts of such people will embarrass even the people condemned to hell, and thus there in hell they will be suffering from the punishment of fire and disgrace both." Reported by Al-Bazar, on the authority of Sayyid Ibn Majari. In another hadith from Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, it has been reported that the Holy Prophet said, "A fornicator, when fornicating, is not a believer. A thief, when stealing, is not a believer. And a drunkard, while drinking, is not a believer." This hadith is there in Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Its explanation, as it appears in the report of Abu Dawud, says at the time those committing such crimes are practically involved in it, Iman, faith, leaves their heart and comes out, and when they turn away from it, Iman returns back in. Majari.
And do not kill the soul which Allah has forbidden except by right. And whoever is killed unjustly, we have given his heir authority. But let him not exceed limits in the matter of taking life. Indeed, he has been supported by the law.
Commentary. This eighth injunction is about the prohibition of killing unjustly. Virtually all groups, religions, and sects of the world take it to be a grave crime. In Hadith, the Holy Prophet said, "The destruction of the entire world is lighter in the sight of Allah than the unjust killing of a believer." In addition to this, some reports also carry the words, "Even if the inhabitants of Allah's 7 heavens and 7 earths were to join in the killing of a believer unjustly, He will put all of them into the hell." Ibn Majah with a chain classified as Hasan and Al-Bayhaqi from Ajari. And in another hadith, the Holy Prophet has been reported to have said, "Whoever abets in the killing of a believer by assisting the killer even with one word will be brought before Allah Ta'ala on the day of resurrection, and written on his forehead shall be, deprived of the mercy of Allah." Majari from Ibn Majah and Isbahani, and Al-Bayhaqi reports on the authority of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas and Sayyidina Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, "Hopefully, Allah Ta'ala may forgive every sin except that of the person who died in a state of disbelief, kafir, or who killed a believer intentionally and unjustly." The meaning of unjust killing. Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim have reported on the authority of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that the Holy Prophet said, "The blood of any Muslim who bears testimony that Allah is one and I am his messenger is not halal, lawful, except under 3 situations. 1. He has, despite being married, committed adultery, for his legal punishment is that he should be stoned to death. 2. He who has killed a person unjustly, for his punishment is that the wali, legal heir, of the person killed can get him killed under the law of qisas, even retaliation. 3. A person who has reneged as an apostate, murtad from the religion of Islam, for he too is killed in punishment, who has the right to take qisas. It has been said in this verse that this is the right of the wali, legal heir, of the person killed. In the absence of a lineal wali, the head of the Islamic government will have this right, for he too, in a way, is the wali of all Muslims. Therefore, in Islamic juristic terminology, the former is called real and the later legal. Injustice is not answered by injustice, but by justice, so be just even when punishing criminals. The statement, "Fali yusrifi al-qatl," but he shall not cross the limit in the matter of taking life, is a special provision of Islamic law, the outcome of which is that it is not permissible to avenge injustice by counter-injustice. Even when retaliating, it is necessary to uphold the demand of justice, until such time that the legal heir, wali, of the person killed upholds justice and seeks and even retaliation in favor of the person killed represented by him through the legal provisions of qisas, then the law of the Sharia stands in his favor. The reason is that he is surely supported, and Allah Ta'ala is the supporter, and in case he is all blinded by the desire of revenge and exceeds the limits of Islamic legal retaliation, then he, instead of being the one oppressed, Mazlum, became the oppressor, Zalim, while the oppressor, Zalim, became the one oppressed by him, Mazlum. Now things will stand reversed. Allah Ta'ala and His law will not support him. Instead, it will support the other party and shield him from injustice. During the days of the Jahiliyyah, it was common practice of the Arabs that, in retaliation of a person killed, they would avenge him by killing anyone they could lay their hands on from among the family or friends of the killer. There were occasions when it would turn out that the person killed was someone notable among them. In that case, they would not take it as sufficient to kill only the killer in even retaliation for their man. In fact, to avenge one life, they would take the lives of 2, 3, or many more men. Some of them would become so crazy in the heat of their passion for revenge that they would not be simply satisfied after having killed the killer. They went on to commit the horror of cutting off body parts such as the nose, ears, etc. to serve as deterrents. All such actions are extra to the limits set by the Islamic law of even retaliation, al-qisas, and are patently haram, unlawful. Therefore such activities have been stopped by the proviso, but he shall not cross the limit in the matter of taking life. An anecdote worth remembering. Someone accused Hajjaj ibn Yusuf before certain Mujtahid imams. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf is the most notorious tyrant of Islamic history, since he has killed thousands of Sahaba and Tabi'in unjustly. Therefore, it generally happens that people tend to overlook the evil lurking behind calling him evil. The pious elder before whom this accusation was leveled against Hajjaj ibn Yusuf asked the accusers, "Do you have any authority or evidence to support your accusation?" They said, "No." Then he said, If Allah Ta'ala will avenge the unjust killing of thousands of innocent people by Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, remember that anyone who is unjust to Hajjaj will also not be allowed to escape from that revenge. Allah Ta'ala will wreak vengeance of Hajjaj from him too. There is no partisanship in the justice of Allah Ta'ala, therefore, it is not possible that he would release others to go about maligning his sinning servants by giving them a free hand to accuse and blame them at will.
And do not approach the property of an orphan, except in the way that is best, until he reaches maturity, and fulfill every commitment. Indeed, the commitment is ever that about which one will be questioned.
Commentary. Mentioned in the 2 verses cited above, there are 3 injunctions, the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. They relate to financial rights. It will be recalled that previous verses dealt with physical rights while the financial ones appear here. Caution in handling the property of orphans. The 9th injunction, given in the first verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 34, concerns the protection of properties owned by orphans and the observation of caution in their handling. Laying emphasis on it, it was said, "And do not go, even, near the property of orphans." It means that there should be no free use of their property counter to the provisions of the Sharia or the interest and advantage of the children. Those who are charged with the protection and management of the properties of orphans are bound to observe utmost caution therein. When spending, they must spend only in the interest and to the advantage of orphans, and definitely not as based on their whim or lack of concern. And this pattern of management is to continue until such time when the orphan children grow up and become capable of protecting their property themselves. The lower limit is when they attain to the age of 15 years, while the higher is 18 years. The fact is that it is just not permissible to spend from anyone's property through false means. But it has been mentioned here in the case of orphans particularly because they themselves are incapable of keeping or taking account, and no one is expected to know about it. So, a place where no one is present to demand one's right is exactly the place where the demand of Allah Ta'ala becomes stronger and harder. Any shortfall in dispersing such rights becomes more sinful as compared to the rights of common people. Fulfillment of covenants and the implementation of contracts. The 10th injunction enjoins the fulfillment of the covenant. There are 2 forms of the covenant. First form has 2 aspects to it. 1. Between Allah and His servant, like the covenant of the servant in eternity that Allah is their Lord. This covenant necessarily results in obedience to His injunctions and the seeking of His pleasure. This is a covenant every human being has made in eternity, irrespective of whether he or she is a believer or a disbeliever. 2. The second covenant is the covenant of a believer made through shahada or professing of the kalima, La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah, the outcome of which is a perfect following of divine injunctions and the seeking of His pleasure. The second form of the covenant takes effect between human beings themselves. This includes all treaties, pacts, agreements, pledges and contracts, political, commercial, or transactional, that are made between individuals or groups or institutions all over the world. The fulfillment of all covenants identified in the first form is obligatory on human beings. As for the other kind of covenants, or contracts, it is also obligatory to fulfill them subject to the condition that they should not be against the Islamic law. As for those that are against the Islamic law, it is obligatory to terminate them after having first served a notice on the other party. If one of the parties does not fulfill, the other party has the right to go to the court and make them fulfill it. Essentially, a contract is an agreement between 2 parties that they would do or not do something. And in case someone unilaterally promises to someone else that he would give him a certain thing or meet him at a certain time or take care of a certain task for him, then it is also obligatory to fulfill this promise. There are commentators who include this too under the sense of covenant, but they do so with a slight difference. We know when 2 parties are bound by a contract, any contravention by one of them can be challenged in the court and the other party can force its completion. But the fulfillment of a unilateral promise cannot be enforced through the court. Of course, if someone were to go back on the promise made to someone else without any valid legal excuse permitted by the Sharia, he will be committing a sin. In Hadith, this has been called hypocrisy in acts. At the end of this verse it was said, "Surely the covenant shall be asked about." It means on the day of Qiyamah, the way questions shall be asked about the fulfillment or non-fulfillment of obligatory divine injunctions. So it will be with mutual contracts these 2 will be asked about. Here it has been left at that only, it will be asked about. And is going to happen next after the questioning? This has been left untold. Perhaps intended as such, it may be signaling towards the danger being great. The 11th injunction enjoins fulfillment of weights and measures in transactions of buying and selling, and forbids any short measuring. Full details appear in Surah Al-Mukhtasar 83. Ruling. Respected jurists of Islam say that the outcome of the injunction against shortening weights and measures is that it is haram, unlawful, to give less than whatever is the due of whoever it may be. Therefore, it is also included therein that an employee curtails the assigned duty entrusted with him or gives it time that is less than what should actually be given to it, or that a worker shirks work and fails to deliver what is due out of it.
And give full measure when you measure, and weigh with an even balance. That is the best way and best in result.
The prohibition of giving weights and measures short. Ruling. Regarding the verse, and give full measure when you measure, Abu Hayyan says in Tafsir al-Muhit that the responsibility of giving full weight and measure in this verse has been placed on the seller, which tells us that it is the seller who is responsible for weighing, measuring, and seeing that it is full as due. At the end of verse Surah Al-Isra, ayah 35, it was said about the fulfillment of weight and measure that is good and better in the end. As for making the weight and measure correct and even, two things have been said here. 1. Firstly, the rule is good. It means that it is intrinsically good. No normal and decent person is going to take weighing less and measuring short as something nice, neither religiously, nor rationally, nor naturally. 2. Secondly, it is better in the end. The end includes the consequent success of the hereafter, reward of deeds, and the blessing of paradise, as well as the happy outcome of the very life in this world. This is suggestive of the fact that no business can prosper until its goodwill stands recognized in the market, and that cannot happen without this commercial honesty.
And do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those one will be questioned.
Commentary. Two injunctions in these verses, the 12th and the 13th, relate to more common social living. The 12th injunction forbids doing something without having become certain about it. At this stage, we should not lose sight of the fact that certainty has different degrees. There is a degree of certainty that reaches the level of perfect certitude, a state that leaves no room of even the slightest doubt contrary to it. Then, it could descend to the degree of strong likelihood, even though there does exist the probability of a contrary aspect. Similarly, divine injunctions are also of two kinds. 1. Absolutes and certainties, such as articles and principles of religion. These require certainty of the first degree. Acting without it is not permissible. 2. Strong likelihood or overwhelming probability, the example of which are injunctions relating to subsidiary deeds. After having given these details, we can state the objective of the cited verse by saying that the element of certainty in injunctions that are certain and absolute should also be of the first degree. In other words, it should have attained the degree of perfect certitude and absolute category. And until this happens, this pseudo-certainty is not trustworthy in the matter of the basic articles and principles of Islam. Acting on its dictates is not permissible. As for the subsidiary injunctions, a certainty of the second degree, that is, of overwhelming probability, is sufficient. In Al-Qur'an, questions will be asked on the day of Qiyamah about the ear, the eye, and the heart. This is what we have been told in first Surah Al-Isra, ayah 36. It means that the ear will be asked as to what did it keep hearing throughout its life. The eye will be asked as to what did it keep seeing throughout its life. The heart will be asked as to what did it keep cooking in its chambers, and what was it that it believed in throughout its life. If things were heard through the ears, the hearing of which was not permissible in Sharia, such as hearing ill of someone behind his back, ghibah, or hearing unlawful vocal and instrumental music, etc., then punishment will follow the question. If things were seen through the eyes, the seeing of which was not permissible, such as casting an evil eye on a non-mahram woman or a beardless, handsome youth, etc., then punishment will follow the question. Or planted a belief in the heart contrary to the Quran and Sunnah, or nursed a baseless blame in the heart regarding someone, then punishment will follow the question. The fact is that, on that fateful day of Qiyamah, questions will be asked about virtually all blessings given by Allah Ta'ala. It was said in Surah Al-Takathur, and you shall certainly be asked on that day of Qiyamah about all blessings of Allah Ta'ala, Surah Al-Takathur, ayat 8. Since the ear, the eye, and the heart are more important and significant out of these blessings, these were mentioned here particularly. Tafsir al-Qur'an and Majari give yet another sense of the verse in terms of the close proximity of the statement in the first sentence and the next. In the first sentence it was said, "And do not pursue that which you have no knowledge of." Adjacent to it follows the statement that the ear, the eye, and the heart, each one of them, shall be interrogated about. The sense that emerges from this proximity is that a person who blames someone without first ascertaining and becoming certain about it, or did something impulsively without doing that first, then, should this thing be related to what is heard through ears, the ears shall be questioned. And if this is seen, the eye shall be questioned. And if comprehended through the heart shall be questioned to determine whether this person is true or false in his blame or in the belief he has allowed to become rooted in his heart. Thereupon, these very body parts shall speak up as witnesses on the day of resurrection. It will be a cause of disgrace for those who accuse others without being certain, and those who do things the truth of which has not been ascertained first. This is as it appears in Surah Sin 65. Today on the day of Qiyamah we shall set a seal on their mouths, and their hands shall speak, and their feet shall bear witness as to what they have been earning by making these limbs of their body do whatever of good or bad they chose. Surah Yasin, Ayah 65. Perhaps the ears, the eyes, and the heart have been particularized here on the basis that Allah Ta'ala has blessed man with sense and consciousness through them. The purpose is to let him first ascertain, examine, and test a thought or belief that crosses his heart. If he finds it true and sound, let him then put it in practice. And should it turn out to be false, let him then stay away from it. Anyone who does not use these faculties and goes about following things he has no knowledge of, things the truth of which he has not ascertained first, then this person is guilty of being ungrateful to these blessings of Allah Ta'ala. Now, the senses through which man becomes aware of different things are 5: the ears, the eyes, the nose, the faculty of speech, and the sensation in the whole body that tells one about something being hot or cold. But habitually man finds out more through the ears and eyes. Awareness about things acquired through the senses of smell, taste, and touch is fairly lower in frequency as compared to things heard or seen. That it has been considered sufficient to mention only 2 of the 5 senses at this place may, perhaps, be because of this very reason. Then, even from among these 2, it is the ear that has been made to precede the eye, and on other occasions of the Holy Qur'an as well, wherever these 2 has been mentioned, it is the ear that has been mentioned first. In all likelihood, the reason for it is that the major part of man's information is comprised of things heard through the ears. Things seen through the eyes happen to be comparatively much less.
And do not walk upon the earth exultantly. Indeed, you will never tear the earth apart, and you will never reach the mountains in height.
The 13th injunction appearing in the second of the 2 sight verses Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 37 is, "And do not walk on the earth haughtily." It means that one should not walk in a way that shows arrogance, pride, and exultation, for this is an idiotic act. It is as if one would like to tear the earth apart just by walking on it, something not in his power to accomplish. Or as if by walking with a challenging gait, he would like to rise much higher, but the mountains of Allah rise far higher than he could ever be anatomically. In reality, arrogance as such is a major sin that can afflict human heart mortally. Therefore, one must guard against even signs of arrogance exhibited through the way one goes about in life, for they too are impermissible, after all. Walking haughtily, even though one may not be walking by exerting force on the earth, and assuming airs and posing high, are impermissible under all conditions. Arrogance is to take yourself superior to others and rate others to be inferior to you. Severe warnings against it appear in Hadith. Imam Muslim, may Allah have mercy on him, has reported on the authority of Say ibn Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, Allah Ta'ala has said this command to me through revelation: take to humility. Let no man pry on another man, nor adopt an attitude of self-eminence, and let no one be unjust to anyone. Majari and Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, narrates that the Holy Prophet said, not to enter paradise is he who has arrogance in his heart even to the measure of a particle. Mashari, with reference to the Sahih Muslim, and it has been reported in Hadith Qudsi on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said, Allah Ta'ala says that grandeur is my mantle and greatness is my breech. Whoever tries to snatch these from me, him I shall put in Jahannam. The words Rida and Izr signify dress, and Allah Ta'ala has no mass or body that would need a dress. Therefore, at this place, it means the attribute of divine glory. So, whoever betrays the wish to become associated with Allah Ta'ala in this attribute belongs to hell. And in another hadith, the Holy Prophet has been reported to have said, on the day of Qiyamah, Arrogant people will be raised as humans scaled down to the size of tiny ants under the shadow of disgrace descending from all sides. They will be driven to a prison of hell called Bulas. It will be surrounded with blazing fire, the highest around, and they will be drinking pus and blood excreted by the inmates of hell to quench their thirst. Termid, he on the authority of Amr ibn Shaib, he from his father, he from his grandfather Majari, and speaking from the pulpit, Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I have heard from the Holy Prophet that a person who takes to humility, Allah Ta'ala elevates him to higher ranks following which he is, though insignificant in his own sight, but he is great in the sight of everybody else. And whoever waxes proud, him Allah Ta'ala puts to disgrace following which he is, though great in his own sight, but he is, in the sight of people, worse than a dog and pig. Majari.
All that, its evil is ever, in the sight of your Lord, detested.
After having described details of the injunctions appearing above, it was said in the last verse, 38, that which is evil of all these is detestable in the sight of your Lord. As for what has been forbidden in the said injunctions, their repugnance is obvious. But within these there are some commandments where rights of parents and relatives have been enjoined or fulfillment of promises has been made mandatory. Here too, the purpose is to avoid doing the opposite of it, like hurting parents, breaking off from relatives, and going back on solemn promises. Since all these things are haram or reprehensible, therefore it has been called makra, in a general sense of detestable, which includes the haram and makra both. They Al-Quran note, the injunctions described in the 15 verses cited above are, in a way, the explanation of the effort acceptable in the sight of Allah mentioned in, and makes effort for it as due. There it was said that not every effort is acceptable with Allah. Instead, the effort made in accordance with the sunnah and teaching of the Holy Prophet is the only one acceptable with him. Main divisions of such acceptable effort have been mentioned in these injunctions, which take up the rights of Allah first, and then the rights of the servants of Allah. A gist of Torah in 15 verses. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the commandments of the entire Torah have been reduced to 15 verses of Surah Bani Israel. Mashari.
That is from what your Lord has revealed to you, O Muhammad, of wisdom. And O mankind, do not make us equal with Allah another deity, lest you be thrown into hell, blamed and banished.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 38 for the Tafsir.
Then has your Lord chosen you for having sons, and taken from among the angels daughters? Indeed, you say a grave saying.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 38 for the Tafsir.
And we have certainly diversified the contents in this Quran, that mankind may be reminded. But it does not increase the disbelievers except in aversion.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 38 for the Tafsir.
Say, O Muhammad, if there had been with him other gods, as they say, then they each would have sought to the owner of the throne a way.
Commentary. According to the proof of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah, given in the verse, then they would have found out a way to the Lord of the throne. Allah alone is the creator, owner, and master of the entire universe. The argument is if it was not so and he had other partners in this Godhead, differences would have necessarily emerged among them. And in the eventuality of the difference, the whole universal system would have gone to ruins because ever-abiding peace among them is habitually impossible. Though this argument has been enunciated here in a prohibitive manner, but there are books of scholastic theology, Ilm al-Kalam, where the logical rationale behind this argument has also been described in great details. The learned may consult these at their discretion.
Exalted is he and high above what they say by great sublimity.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 42 for the Tafsir.
The seven heavens and the earth and whatever is in them exalt him. And there is not a thing except that it exalts Allah by His praise. But you do not understand their way of exalting. Indeed, He is ever forbearing and forgiving.
The meaning of tasbih, glorification of Allah, said by the heavens and the earth and everything present therein. Among these, the tasbih of Allah, said by all angels and believing jinn and human beings, is self-evident. Everyone knows that. As for disbelieving human beings and the jinn, they obviously do not say it. Similarly, There are other things in this universe about which it is said that they are insensate, devoid of reason and intelligence. How do we rationalize their act of saying tasbih? Some ulama say that their tasbih is circumstantial, state articulated, the testimony of their state of being, because the collective condition of everything other than Allah Ta'ala is telling us that it is neither permanent existence-wise nor survival-wise. This whole ongoing condition has been activated under the power and control of some supreme power. This testimony is its tasbih. But other investigative scholars say that volitional tasbih of Allah is particular with angels and the living jinns and human beings. But in terms of the state of his orientation towards what he has created, Allah Ta'ala has cast every particle of this universe into the mold of a chanter of his glory. As regards those who do not believe, or do not believe in institutional religion, they too generally subscribe to God and his greatness. Then there are materialists, atheists, and modern-day communists who do not obviously subscribe to the existence of God. But the truth of the matter is that the very existence of theirs, inclusive of all that constitutes it, is compulsively busy glorifying Allah, just as trees, rocks and dust, and a zillion other things are busy recounting the glory of the most true Allah. But this act of glorification, this tasbih they are all engaged in, is built in, compulsively ingrained, and is responding to the call of the creational imperative. Common people do not hear it, the statement of the Qur'an, but you do not understand their extolling the act of glorifying Allah. Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 44, proves that this originally and elementally ingrained act of extolling Allah performed by everything en masse is something common people cannot understand. As far as circumstantially discernible act of extolling is concerned, intelligent people can identify it readily. This tells us that the act of extolling we are talking about is not simply a testimony of the incumbent state of existence in the universe. It is real, though, beyond our comprehension. As mentioned by Al-Qutubi, as for the phenomenon of pebbles saying tasbih, glory be to Allah, in the blessed hand of the Holy Prophet, and which was clearly heard by the noble Sahaba, it is obviously a miracle. Of Sheikh Jalaluddin as-Sayyidi, while explaining this hadith in Al-Qasis Al-Kubra, has said that pebbles saying tasbih is not the miracle of the Holy Prophet. As regards pebbles, they say tasbih wherever they are. In fact, what is his miracle is that once the pebbles were in his blessed hand, the tasbih said by them became audible. Imam Al-Qutubi has declared this refinement as weightier, and has supported it with many proofs from the Quran and Sunnah. For example, it was said about Sayyid ibn Dawud in Surah Sad, "We subjugated the mountains with him which used to glorify Allah, evening and morning." Surah Al-Fath, Ayah 18, and it was said about rocks in a verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, "And there are still others rocks which fall down in fear of Allah." Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 74. This proves that rocks have consciousness, sense, and the fear of Allah. Then, refuting Christians calling Sayyidina Isa son of God, it was said in a verse of Surah Maryam, "And the mountains fall down crumbling," that they attribute to the Rahman most merciful Allah a son. Surah Maryam, Ayat 90-91. Again, it is evident that mountains crumbling in fear are indicative of their consciousness and sense. And once it is conceded that they have sense and consciousness, the saying of tasbih by them should not be considered something improbable. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "A mountain says to the other mountain, 'Say, O brother, has a man ever gone across you, someone who was good at remembering Allah?' If it says yes, this mountain is pleased with him." For his proof, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, recited the verse, "And they say, the Rahman most merciful Allah has taken a son." Surah Maryam, Ayah 88. After that, he said, "This verse proves it that mountains are affected by listening to words of blasphemy, kufr, and are, thereupon, seized by fear. This being the truth, do you think that they listen to what is false and do not listen to what is true? Do not hear Allah being remembered, hyper, and are not affected by it?" Qutubi, with reference to Rakhak ibn Mubarak, and the Holy Prophet said, "There is no jinn, man, tree, rock, and common clod of earth that hears the call of the muezzin, muddin, and does not bear witness to his faith and righteousness on the day of Qiyamah." Imam Malik and Sunan ibn Majah, on the authority of Ibn Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him. Imam al-Bukhari, may Allah have mercy on him, has reported on the authority of Ibn Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, who said, "We used to hear the sound of tasbih, glory to Allah, said by the food when it was being eaten." And a variant appears in another report where it is said, "When we ate with the Holy Prophet, we used to hear the sound of tasbih said by the food." And as narrated by Sayyidina Jabir ibn Samira, may Allah be pleased with him, it appears in Sahih Muslim that the Holy Prophet said, I know the rock of Makkah al-Mukarramah that used to say salam to me before the call of prophethood, and I know it even now. Some say the reference is to Al-Hajj or Al-Aswad. Allah knows best. Imam al-Qutubi, may Allah have mercy on him, has said that hadith reports relating to such matters abound. As for the story of Ustu wa Hamana, the dried tree serving as a column for support when the Holy Prophet gave his khutbah in the masjid, it is common knowledge among Muslims all over the world. When the Holy Prophet bypassed it while starting to deliver his khutbah from a regular mimbar, stepped platform, the noble Sahaba heard the sound of wailing coming from it. After all these reports, why should it remain so far out to realize that everything in the heavens and the earth has consciousness and sense, and that everything really glorifies Allah? Ibrahim, may Allah have mercy on him, says that this tasbih is universal. It includes the animate and the inanimate both. So much so that the least sound made by the panels of doors are not devoid of tasbih. Imam al-Qutubi has said, if this glorification of Allah was a state-articulated tasbih, why was it made so particular to say, Ibn Dawud in the verse referred to a little earlier? A state-articulated tasbih is something every discerning human being can sense out from everything. This makes it obvious that this tasbih was spoken, verbally and audibly.
And when you recite the Quran, we put between you and those who do not believe in the hereafter a concealed partition.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 44, for the Tafsir.
And we have placed over their hearts coverings, lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And when you mention your Lord alone in the Quran, they turn back in aversion.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 44, for the Tafsir.
We are most knowing of how they listen to it when they listen to you, and of when they are in private conversation, when the wrongdoers say, you follow not but a man affected by magic.
Commentary. Can magic affect a prophet? A prophet being affected by magic is as possible as being affected by sickness. Therefore, blessed prophets are not devoid of or detached from human characteristics. For instance, they could be wounded, run temperature, or feel pain. Similarly, they could also be affected by magic because that too is triggered by the influence of physical causes such as those of the jinn. And it also stands proof from hadith that there was an occasion when the Holy Prophet was affected by magic. As for the disbelievers calling him bewitched, Masher, in verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 47, which the Quran has refuted for the reason that they really meant to call him insane. In Al-Quran, therefore, the hadith of magic is not contradictory. 1. Moreover, the magic or sorcery can affect the Prophet only to cause a physical illness. It can never have an adverse effect on performing their functions as prophets. The disbelievers used to call the Holy Prophet the bewitched person in this later sense, which was totally impossible in his case, while the hadith refers to the physical illness suffered by the Holy Prophet, which was caused by an act of magic. Muhammad Taqi Usmani, the subject taken up in the first two verses, has a particular event as a background. According to Al-Qutubi, by reporting on the authority of Sayyidina Sa'id ibn Jubair, may Allah be pleased with him, when Surah Al-Mas, as if Al-Hab, Roman 3, beginning with, was revealed in the Quran, it also condemned the wife of Abu Lahab. She went to the place where the Holy Prophet used to sit with his companions. At that time, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, was present there. Noticing her coming well ahead of her arrival, he said to the Holy Prophet, if you move away from here, it will be better. This woman has a sharp tongue. She will say things which may cause you pain. He said, no, Allah Ta'ala will put a curtain between me and her. So she reached there, but when she could not see the Holy Prophet anywhere around, she turned towards Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, and said, your companion has satirized us in poetry. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, said, by Allah, he is no composer of poetry, much less that of the kind in which people are satirized. Hajwa. Thereupon she left in a huff, saying, you are no more than a verifier for him. After she was gone, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, submitted, didn't she see you? He said, as long as she was here, an angel kept obstructing the view between me and her. A Quranic formula of remaining hidden from enemy sight. On occasions when the Holy Prophet wished to remain hidden from the sight of the mushriks, says Sayyidina Kabi, may Allah be pleased with him, he would recite 3 verses of the Holy Quran. Such was its effect, that the disbelievers were unable to see him. Those 3 verses are 1. Surely we have put covers on their hearts so that they do not understand it, and deafness in their ears. Surah Al-Kahf, Ayah 57-2. Those are the ones Allah has put a seal on whose hearts and hearing and vision. Surah An-Nahl, Ayah 108-3. Have you seen the one who has taken his own desire as God, while Allah has let him go astray because of knowledge his, and has set a seal upon his hearing and his heart, and placed over his vision a veil? Surah Al-Jathiyah, Ayah 23. Sayyidina Ka'b, may Allah be pleased with him, says that he related this thing about the Holy Prophet to a Syrian who had to go to adjoining Byzantium on a certain business. He went there and stayed for a long time until the local disbelievers started harassing him. When he escaped from there, they pursued him. At that time, he remembered that narrative and recited the 3 verses identified there. It so happened, as if a screen was placed on their eyes, why they could not see this person who was walking on the same pathway the enemies were passing by. Imam Thaleh says that he related this narrative of Sayyid ibn Qutb, may Allah be pleased with him, to a resident of the town of Array. It so happened that he was put under arrest by the disbelievers of Dalam. For some time he remained under detention with them. One day he got his chance to escape. They pursued him, but this person also recited those 3 verses. The effect was immediate. Allah Ta'ala screened their eyes in a manner that they were unable to see him, though they were walking side by side with their clothes touching his clothes. Imam Al-Qurtubi, may Allah have mercy on him, says that the verses from Surah Yasin which were recited by the Holy Prophet at the time of Hira may also be added to the 3 verses cited above. This was when the mushriks of Makkah had besieged his house. He recited those verses and went right through them. In fact, he went by throwing dust on their heads, and none of them knew anything about it. Those verses of Surah Yasin are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. With the name of Allah, the most merciful, the very merciful. Yasin. By the wise Quran. Surely you, O Muhammad, are from among the messengers on a straight path. This is a revelation of the Mighty, the very merciful, that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, so they are unaware. The word has already taken effect against most of them, so they do not believe. Surely we have placed shackles on their necks reaching down to their chins, so they are with heads forced high up. And we have placed before them an obstruction, and behind them an obstruction, and covered them, so they do not see. Surah Yasin, Ayah 1-9. Imam Al-Qurtubi, may Allah have mercy on him, says that he himself went through an incident in the Manthur castle of Al-Qartubat. In his own country of Al-Andalus, Spain, I ran in front of the enemy and sat in a corner. The enemy sent 2 horsemen after me. I was on open grounds. There was nothing to obstruct the view between us. But I was reciting these verses of Surah Yasin. Both these horsemen passed by me. Then they went back towards where they had come from, saying, this person must be some devil, because they could not see me. Allah Ta'ala had turned them blind as far as I was concerned. Qurtubi.
Look how they strike for you comparisons, but they have strayed, so they cannot find a way.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 47, for the Tafsir.
And they say, when we are bones and crumbled particles, will we truly be resurrected as a new creation?
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 47, for the Tafsir.
Say, be you stones or iron.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 47, for the Tafsir.
Or any creation of that which is great within your breasts. And they will say, who will restore us? Say, he who brought you forth the first time. Then they will nod their heads toward you and say, when is that? Say, perhaps it will be soon.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 47, for the Tafsir.
On the day he will call you, and you will respond with praise of him, and think that you had not remained in the world except for a little.
Commentary. The word, he will call you, then on a day when he will call you, and you will respond praising him, as a derivation from dua, which means to call out for someone by announcing it vocally. The sense is that the day when Allah Ta'ala will call everyone to come to the plains of resurrection. This calling will be through Angel Israfil. When he sounds the 2nd trumpet, the dead will come alive and assemble on the plains of resurrection. It is also possible that, once alive, a call goes through to all of them to assemble there. Qurtubi, in a hadith, the Holy Prophet said, on the day of Qiyamah, You will be called out with your name and the name of your father. Therefore, give yourself good names, avoiding the absurd ones. Hutubai. Even disbelievers will rise praising Allah on the day of resurrection. The word istitaba in, and you will respond praising him means to respond on being called by someone and be present before him. The sense is when you will be called to present yourselves on the plains of resurrection, all of you will obey that call and assemble there. The word bihamdihi, praising him, is the state of the nominative pronoun in. Tastajiban, you will respond, which releases the sense of hamadan, that is, those praising him. Thus, the outcome is that all of them will present themselves praising Allah while coming to those fateful plains. As outwardly obvious, the verse does seem to indicate that this will be the state of all, believers or disbelievers, they both will rise praising Allah. But the real addressees here are the disbelievers. It is about them that it is being said, they all will rise praising Allah. From among tafsir authorities, say, Said ibn Jubair has said that the disbelievers too will rise from their graves saying, Pure are you and to you belong all praises, but their act of praising at that hour will be of no use to them. Qutubai, the reason is not far to see. When these people see light after death, the words of praise for Allah will escape their mouth involuntarily. This will be no deed deserving recompense. Some commentators have said that this state has been particularized with believers. They argue that, regarding the disbelievers, the Quran has only this to say: when they rise, they will say, Woe be to us, who made us rise from our resting place. Surah Yasin, Ayah 52:2. And according to another verse, they will say, Oh, my remorse is boundless over what I have neglected on the side of obedience to Allah. Surahs, Ayah 56. But the truth of the matter is that there is no likelihood of a contradiction between these two sayings. Maybe in the beginning they'll rise praising. Later, when disbelievers are separated from believers, as said in Surah Yasin, but today, O criminals, you stand out distinctly apart. Surah Yasin, Ayah 59. They will also say what appears in the cited verses. Then it stands proof from many explications of the Quran and Sunnah that stations of resurrection will be different, with a corresponding difference in the states and conditions of people in each of these. Imam al-Qurtubi has said that rising and resurrection will begin with the praise of Allah, with everyone doing it when rising, and on it will end all matters. This is as it was already said, and matters between them have been settled in accordance with the truth, and it was said, All praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Surah Az-Zumar, Ayah 75.
And tell my servants to say that which is best. Indeed, Satan induces dissension among them. Indeed, Satan is ever, to mankind, a clear enemy.
Commentary. Using foul or harsh language is not correct, even against infidels. The first verse, Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 53, prohibits Muslims from talking harshly to disbelievers. It means that a hard line should not be taken unnecessarily, and should there be the need, even killing would be in order, as succinctly put in 2 lines of Persian poetry. Whereas without an injunction of the Sharia, to drink water is a sin. In another case, to shed blood under fatwa is permissible, since it is possible to suppress the aggressive might of disbelievers and their hostility to Islam through fighting and killing, as an inevitable measure of defense. Therefore, it is allowed. However, by using foul language and harsh words, neither a castle stands conquered nor anyone guided right. Therefore, it has been prohibited. Imam al-Qurtubi said that this verse was revealed in the background of an event relating to Sayyid ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him. It so happened that someone used foul language against Sayyid ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, who retaliated harshly and wanted to kill him. This posed the danger of a war breaking out between their 2 tribes. Thereupon, this verse was revealed. And according to the interpretation of Imam al-Qurtubi, this verse contains a guideline for Muslims as to how they should address each other. It suggests that they should not speak harshly at the time of mutual difference, for this is a trap door through which the shaitan pushes them into mutual infighting and disorder.
Your Lord is most knowing of you. If He wills, He will have mercy upon you, or if He wills, He will punish you. And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, over them as a manager.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 53, for the tafsir.
And your Lord is most knowing of whoever is in the heavens and the earth. And we have made some of the prophets exceed others in various ways, and to David we gave the book of Psalms.
That Zabur, the Psalms, has been mentioned particularly in the last sentence of verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 55, and we gave Dawud the Zabur, has been done, perhaps, because Zabur reports that the Holy Prophet will be a ruler along with being a messenger and prophet. This is as it appears in the Quran, and we have already written in the Zabur, after the previous mention, that the land is inherited by my righteous servants Al-Anbiya. Surah Al-Anbiya, Ayah 105. At this stage, Imam al-Bayhawi says in his Tafsir that Zabur is a book of Allah revealed to Sayyidina Dawud. It has 150 surahs or chapters, and all surahs are restricted to praises of Allah and prayers to Him. The areas of lawful and unlawful obligations and limits have not been taken up there.
Say, invoke those you have claimed as gods besides Him, for they do not possess the ability for removal of adversity from you or for its transfer to someone else.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 55 for the Tafsir.
Those whom they invoke seek means of access to their Lord, striving as to which of them would be nearest, and they hope for His mercy and fear His punishment. Indeed, the punishment of your Lord is ever feared.
Commentary. The word al-wasila in seek the means of closeness to their Lord conveys the sense of that which is used as a means of reaching someone. As for reaching Allah, the wasila or means is to always keep the pleasure of Allah in sight when learning or doing anything while adhering to the injunctions of the Sharia strictly. Thus, the sense of the sentence is that all of them are seeking the closeness of Allah Ta'ala through their righteous deeds. About the sentence which follows immediately after, hope for His mercy and fear His punishment, Salih bin Abdullah said, hope and fear, that is, hoping for mercy from Allah as well as fearing Him, are two different states one is in. When they stay at par, one keeps on course correct and stable. And if any one of the two overcomes the other, one finds the equilibrium of his spiritual state subjected to disorder to the measure of that imbalance. Qutubah.
And there is no city but that we will destroy it before the day of resurrection, or punish it with a severe punishment. That has ever been in the register inscribed.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
And nothing has prevented us from sending signs except that the former peoples denied them. And we gave Thamud, the she-camel, as a visible sign, but they wronged her. And we send not the signs except as a warning.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
And remember, O Muhammad, when we told you, indeed your Lord has encompassed the people. And we did not make the sight which we showed you except as a trial for the people, as was the accursed tree mentioned in the Quran. And we threaten them, but it increases them not except in great transgression.
Commentary. The word fitna, appearing in verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 60, and we showed you the scene in the night of ascent Al-Mi'raj only to make it a test for the people, is used in the Arabic language to convey many different meanings. It could mean falling into error and going astray, or trial or test, or some disorder or upheaval as well. At this place, the probability of all these meanings exists. Early Tafsir authorities Sayyida Isha, Sayyidina Muawiyah, Hassan, Mujahid, and others have taken fitna as carrying the last sense given above. They have said that this fitna was that of apostasy, irtidad, which relates to the time when the Holy Prophet told people about Mi'raj, how he went on his nocturnal journey to Bayt al-Maqdis, to the heavens from there, and his return to Makkah al-Mukarramah before dawn. There were many Muslims who had yet to become staunch in their faith, fell into the error of belying his statement, and turned apostates. But it also stands proof from this event that the word Riya is though also used in the Arabic language in the sense of dream, but at this place, what is being recounted is no matter of some dream. Had that been the case, there was no reason why people would become apostates. Dreams are dreams. Everyone can see such dreams. In fact, the purpose of employing the word Riya at this place is to show that the marvel was witnessed while awake. While commenting on this verse, some commentators have interpreted it to be referring to other events too besides the event of Mi'raj, but they do not apply here as a whole. Therefore, the majority of commentators have declared the event of Mi'raj alone as the relevant subject of this verse, as described in detail by Al-Qutubah.
And mention when we said to the angels, prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated, except for Iblis. He said, should I prostrate to one you created from clay?
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 60 for the Tafsir.
Iblis said, Do you see this one whom you have honored above me? If you delay me until the day of resurrection, I will surely destroy his descendants, except for a few.
Commentary. The word subdue in verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 62 is from ihtinak, which means to exterminate or uproot something, or to subdue and overpower it completely. Qutubai, the word and entice in verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 64 is from istifsas, which basically means to cut off or to tear away from, and at this place it means to tear away from the path of truth. This is followed by, with your voice. Sat, the Arabic word for voice, is well known. What is the voice of Shaitan? Say, Ibn Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, says, the voices of songs, musical instruments, and the hullabaloo of fun and games are the voices of Shaitan, that he employs to tear people away from the path of truth. Qutubai, this tells us that singing or listening to music and playing or listening to musical instruments are prohibited. Qutubai, while refusing to prostrate before Ibn Adam Iblis, the Shaitan, had said two things. One, that Adam was created from mud, and he was from fire, and that there was no reason why mud was given precedence over fire. This question was an effort to find out the wisdom of the order given to him before he could comply with the divine command, something the one so commanded has no right to ask. That Allah, the Exalted, would let the commanded one have the right to demand the wisdom of his command is far out, especially when we see in our everyday life that human beings themselves would not give their servant the right to say no to them. Think of a master asking his servants to do something, and the servant demanding the master that he should first explain the wisdom of that assignment. Therefore, this question was considered unworthy of an answer, and no answer was given. In addition to that, the answer is already obvious. Giving precedence to something over the other is the prerogative of the being that created and nurtured everyone. Whenever and whatever he declares to be superior becomes exactly so.
Allah said, Go, for whoever of them follows you, indeed hell will be the recompense of you, an ample recompense.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 62, for the Tafsir.
And incite to senselessness whoever you can among them, with your voice, and assault them with your horses and foot soldiers, and become a partner in their wealth and their children, and promise them. But Satan does not promise them except delusion.
2. Secondly, he had said if he was given respite till the day of Qiyamah, he will mislead the entire progeny of Adam, except a few of them, that Allah Ta'ala has elected to answer in the later verses. He said that the Shaitan will have no control over his sincere servants, even if he were to rally his entire forces against them, and as for the insincere who fall into his trap, they will meet the same fate as his, all consigned to hell. When this verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 64 mentions the horsemen and footmen of the Shaitanic army, it does not necessarily mean that the Shaitan actually has combat support in that formation. In fact, this is a manner of referring to the full force and power of the Shaitan. And if the Shaitan does have horsemen and footmen actually, even that too cannot be denied. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, said, those who come out in support of disbelief and sin, horsemen or footmen, they are nothing but the army of the Shaitan. Now remains the question as to how the Shaitan came to know that he would succeed in enticing and misleading the progeny of Adam on the basis on which he claimed that he will subdue them. There are two possibilities. Perhaps by looking at the ingredients that went into the making of man, he had gathered that man would be desire-prone and it would not be difficult to entice him successfully. And then, it is also not far out to believe that his very claim was nothing but a bland lie. As for the sense of, and share with them in their wealth and their children, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, said, wealth and property acquired by false, impermissible and unlawful means are spent on what is haram is the sharing of the Shaitan in it. As for the sharing of the Shaitan in children, it could either be through legitimacy, or by naming them like disbelievers and polytheists, or by indulging in polytheistic customs to ensure their security, or by taking to haram sources of income to bring them up. Qutubai.
Indeed, over my believing servants there is for you no authority, and sufficient is your Lord as disposer of affairs.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 64, for the Tafsir.
It is your Lord who drives the ship for you through the sea that you may seek of his bounty. Indeed, he is ever, to you, merciful.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 64, for the Tafsir.
And when adversity touches you at sea, Lost are all those you invoke except for him. But when he delivers you to the land, you turn away from him, and ever is man ungrateful.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayat 64 for the Tafsir.
Then do you feel secure that instead he will not cause a part of the land to swallow you, or send against you a storm of stones? Then you would not find for yourselves an advocate.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayat 64 for the Tafsir.
Or do you feel secure that he will not send you back into the sea another time, and send upon you a hurricane of wind and drown you for what you denied? Then you would not find for yourselves against us an avenger.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayat 64 for the Tafsir.
And we have certainly honored the children of Adam, and carried them on the land and sea, and provided for them of the good things, and preferred them over much of what we have created, with definite preference.
Commentary. Why are the children of Adam superior? The last of the verses cited above mentions the superiority of the children of Adam over most of the divine creation. Here we have to consider two things. 1. What are the attributes and reasons of this superiority? 2. What is the sense of the statement in the verse, made them much superior to many of those we created? 1. The first question can be answered in detail by saying that Allah Ta'ala has blessed the children of Adam with such multidimensional attributes as are not found in many of those He has created. The beauty of form and features, the balance of body, the balance of temperament, and the balance of height and build are good examples. These attributes bestowed on human beings are not found in other living forms in that balanced measure. In addition to that, they have been endowed with distinct reason and intelligence through which they get things done up and down in the universe of their experience. Allah Ta'ala has given them the built-in capability to compound and manufacture from out of what has been divinely created materials and things which serve them in living, moving, eating and wearing in all sorts of ways. No less is their gift of communication, speech, comprehension, understanding and explanation. This remains unmatched by other living forms. Using signs and symbols to communicate what lies in one's heart, and telling others what one thinks and feels through letters and writings are all manifestations of the signal human distinction. Some scholars have said that eating with the fingers of the hand is also a particular human attribute. Other than man, all animals eat with their mouth. The practice of compounding edibles with different things in order to make these delicious and beneficial is the way of human beings alone. Animals eat things that are single and simple. Some would eat raw meat, others would go by grass or some fruit. However, they all eat simples. It is man alone who prepares food through compounding all sorts of solids, liquids, spices and herbs, which has in our day assumed the status of a highly publicized art of cuisine. Then, there is the most pronounced superiority of reason and intelligence through which human beings are supposed to recognize their creator and master, find out what he likes and dislikes and do what he likes and avoid what he dislikes. Thus, in terms of reason and intelligence, the created have three kinds. Common animals have desires but no reason and intelligence as we understand it. The angels have reason and intelligence but do not have desires. Human beings have both. They have reason and intelligence as well as desires. This is the reason why, when he suppresses his desires through reason and intelligence and succeeds in saving himself from indulging in things disliked by Allah Ta'ala, he reaches a station which is even higher than that of many angels. 2. We can now turn to the sense of the statement that the children of Adam were made much superior than many of those Allah created. As for the superiority of the children of Adam over all created forms in the world, higher and lower, and all animals, it cannot be disputed by anyone. Similarly, the jinn are like human beings in terms of reason and intelligence. That human beings are superior to them as well is accepted by all. What remains now is the case of angels. Who is superior, man or angel? What can be authentically said about it is that common righteous believers among human beings, such as the men of Allah, are superior to angels in general. But special angels, such as Jibreel and Mikhail and others, are superior to the common righteous believers, while special believers, such as the blessed prophets, are superior even to special angels. As far as disbelievers and sinners among human beings are concerned, they just cannot be compared with angels. In fact, they are not even superior to animals in terms of the real purpose of life, that of seeking success through righteousness. About them, the Holy Qur'an has already given its verdict: they are like cattle. Rather, they are much more misled. Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 1, 179. Tafsir Majari, Allah knows best.
Mention, O Muhammad, the day we will call forth every people with their record of deeds. Then whoever is given his record in his right hand, those will read their records, and injustice will not be done to them, even as much as a thread inside the date seed.
Commentary. The word imam in the first sentence of verse translated as think of the day we will call every people with their book of deeds appears here in the sense of book as in Surah Yasin, and we have enumerated everything in a clear book. Surah Yasin, Ayah 12, here means a clear book. Then, Kitab is called imam for the reason that, in the event of some error or difference, one turns to the book very much like turning to a religious leader who is followed. Qutubai, and it also appears from a hadith of Tirmidh. He is narrated by Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him. Tirmidh, he calls it Hasan Garib. That imam in this verse means kitab. The words of the hadith are given below, explaining the verse. The Holy Prophet himself said, one of them will be called and his book of deeds will be given in his right hand. From a lengthy hadith, it also stands established from this hadith that imam has been used here in the sense of book, and that kitab signifies the book of deeds. Maulana Ashraf Thanvi, may Allah have mercy on him, has therefore translated imam as the book of deeds. Also reported from some commentators, including Sayyidina Ali al-Murtada, may Allah be pleased with him, and Mujahid, is the meaning of imam as religious leader. It means that everyone is to be called as the follower of a certain leader, whether they be blessed prophets, whether deputies, the sheikhs and the ulama, or leaders who have been inviting people to error and sin. Put to by, given this meaning, the sense of the verse would be that everyone will be called by the name of his or her leader, and all those so called will be assembled at one place. For example, there will be the followers of Sayyidina Ibrahim, the followers of Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Isa, and the followers of Sayyidina Muhammad al-Mustafa. Then possibly the names of those will also be called out who are their direct instructors or leaders, such as ulama and religious guides, the book of deeds. As it appears from several verses of the Holy Qur'an, only disbelievers will be given the book of deeds in the left hand. This is as it is said in the verse, indeed, he was not used to believing in Allah, the great Al-Haqqa, Surah Al-Haqqa, Ayah 33, and also in another verse, indeed, he surmised that he would never return Al-Inshikak, Surah Al-Inshikak, Ayah 14. In the first verse quoted above, faith has been negated explicitly, while the second carries a denial of the hereafter, which too is disbelief after all. This comparative look tells us that those who shall get their book of deeds in the right hand will be the people of faith, pious or sinner. The believer will read his or her book of deeds and delight. In fact, the happy believer will have others read it too. This happiness will be because of having one's iman, faith, intact, and because of deliverance from eternal punishment, though punishment may also come for some deeds. How the book of deeds will be given in the right or the left hand is something not mentioned in the Holy Qur'an. But the expression, causing the books fly, has appeared in some ahadith, reported by Umar on the authority of Sayyid Isha, may Allah be pleased with him, ascending to the Holy Prophet. And in some narrations of hadith, it appears that all books of deeds will be there at one place under the Arsh throne. Then a wind will blow and cause these to fly and reach the hands of people in a manner that some will get it in their right hand and some others in the left. Reported by Al-Ukili on the authority of Sayyidina Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, ascending to the Holy Prophet, Bayan al-Quran from Ra'al-Ma'ani.
And whoever is blind in this life will be blind in the hereafter, and more astray in way.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 71, for the Tafsir.
And indeed, they were about to tempt you away from that which we revealed to you in order to make you invent about us something else. And then they would have taken you as a friend.
Commentary. Out of the verses appearing above, the first three relate to a particular event. To determine it precisely, Tafsir Majari carries some relevant reports. The event which is closer and more supportive in terms of the indicators set in the Quran is what has been reported by Ibn Abi Haytham as based on a narrative of Sayyidina Jubair ibn Nufair. According to this report, some chiefs of the Quraysh of Mecca came to the Holy Prophet and said, if you have been really sent to us, you should remove these poor and broken down people from around you, for sitting with such people is a matter of insult for us. If you do that, we too will become your companions and friends. When they said this, the Holy Prophet somewhat leaned towards the idea that he might do something like that as suggested by them in the hope that they may, perhaps, become Muslims. Thereupon this verse was revealed. Through this verse, the Holy Prophet was sounded that their suggestion was a fitna, and the friendship they were talking about was also a fitna, a trial or test or a ruse to tempt him into creating discord in his ranks. Therefore, he should not accept it. After that, the text says, had your Lord not been particular about your grooming and fortitude, it was not too far out that you could have come somewhat closer to tilting towards their proposal. From this verse, says Tafsir Majari, it is clearly understood that there was just no probability of the Holy Prophet ever tilting towards such absurd demands from the Quraysh disbelievers. Yes, coming close to tilting, and that too within a very insignificant limit, was probable. But by making him Masum, protected, infallible, Allah Ta'ala saved him from drifting even to that limit. If we were to think about it, this verse provides a great proof of the highest moral disposition with which all prophets were blessed. So, had there been even no shield of prophetic infallibility, still such was the natural disposition of the Prophet of Islam that tilting towards the absurd proposal of disbelievers would have never been possible for him. However, there did exist the probability of his coming somewhat closer, in an insignificant measure, towards the act of tilting, something terminated by the prophetic infallibility.
And if we had not strengthened you, you would have almost inclined to them a little.
See Surah Al-Isra, ayat 73, for the tafsir.
Then if you had, we would have made you taste double punishment in life and double after death. Then you would not find for yourself against us a helper.
After that, it was said, it means, supposing the impossible, if you would have come closer to tilting towards the wrong move, your punishment would have been double in life and double after death, in the grave or the hereafter, because even an insignificant error made by those close to Allah is considered to be very grave. What has been said here is almost the same as was said about the blessed wives of the Holy Prophet in Surah Al-Isra. Wives of the Prophet, whoever of you should commit a clear act of immodesty, the punishment for her will be multiplied doubly. Surah Al-Isra, ayah 30.
And indeed, they were about to drive you from the land to evict you therefrom. And then when they do, they will not remain there after you, except for a little.
Istif says in, and they were likely to harass you literally means to cut off or tear away from, or to provoke into moving from a place. At this place, the sense is to expel the Holy Prophet from his station at Makkah or Madinah. The verse means, had they done that, their punishment would have been that they themselves would have not been able to live there much longer after you. This is the description of another event. There are two reports about it. One event relates to Medina al-Tayyibah. The Jews of the city came to the Holy Prophet. They told him, O Abu al-Qasim, if you are true in your claim to be a prophet, you should go and live in Syria, because the land of Syria is the land of Al-Mukhtasar, the resurrection, and the land of prophets too. The Holy Prophet was somewhat impressed by what they said, and when he traveled to Syria at the time of the Battle of Tabuk, the idea of taking up residence in Syria was still on his mind. But the revelation of the verse, and they were likely to harass you at that time, stopped him from doing so. After presenting this report, Ibn Kathir has, however, declared it to be unsatisfactory. As an alternate, he points out to another event which transpired in Makkah al-Mukarramah, in which, according to him, is the point of reference in this verse for the fact that this surah was Makki provided a strong coherence for it. As the event goes, once the Quraysh disbelievers intended to expel the Holy Prophet from Makkah al-Mukarramah. Thereupon, Allah Ta'ala revealed the verse where the Quraysh disbelievers were warned that in the event they expelled the Holy Prophet from Makkah, they too would not be sitting in Makkah in peace any longer. This is the event Ibn Kathir considers to be the weightier choice as the point of reference in the verse. Then, he goes on to explain that this warning of the Holy Qur'an was seen come true by the disbelievers of Makkah with their own eyes. When the Holy Prophet migrated from Makkah al-Mukarramah, they were unable to sit there in peace even for a day. It was within a period of a year and 6 months that Allah Ta'ala made them assemble on the plains of Badr, where 70 of their chiefs were killed and their initial aggressive power was broken. Then came the final outcome of the Battle of Uhud, which made them more awe-stricken, and the last confrontation of the Battle of Al-Azz that virtually broke their back. It was in the 8th year of Hira that the Holy Prophet conquered the whole of Makkah al-Mukarramah.
That is our established way for those we had sent before you of our messengers, and you will not find in our way any alteration.
The last verse, Surah Al-Isra, ayah 77, such has been our way with the messengers we sent, tells us that, according to the customary way and law of Allah Ta'ala, when a people expel their prophet from his homeland, or compel him to leave by scaring and harassing, then, those people too are not left to continue living there. They are visited by the punishment of Allah Ta'ala.
Establish prayer at the decline of the sun from its meridian until the darkness of the night, and also the Quran of dawn. Indeed, the recitation of dawn is ever witnessed.
Commentary. Salat is the best defense against enemy hostility. Previous verses have mentioned the hostility of the enemies of Islam, the plans they made to hurt and harass the Holy Prophet, and what was to be done in response. By giving the Holy Prophet the command to establish Salat in the verses cited above, it is being suggested that it is the best remedy against the mischief made and pain caused by enemies. This is similar to what has been said more clearly in a verse of Surah Al-Isra. It means, and indeed we know that your heart feels distress for what they say. So proclaim the purity and glory of your Lord, and be among those who prostrate. By this verse declares devotion to the remembrance of Allah, dhikr through His praises, hamdi, and His glorification, tasbih, and salah, prayer, as the panacea of pains inflicted by enemies. Dhikr and salah are special safety shields against their aggressive designs. Then it is also not far out to believe that staying safe against the pain inflicted by enemies depends on the help and support of Allah Ta'ala. So the best medium of acquiring this help is salah, as stated in the Holy Quran. Seek help through patience and prayer. Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 153, the injunction of 5 prayers. The majority of leading tafsir authorities has declared this verse to be a comprehensive injunction for all 5 daily prayers. The reason is that the word duluk is essentially used in the sense of decline, and the decline of the sun begins at the time of meridian, though it could also be applied to the sunset. But at this place, the majority of Sahaba and Tabi'in have taken the word duluk to mean the post-meridian decline of the sun. As explained in details by Al-Qurtubi, Al-Mashari, and Ibn Kathir, the word gasak in the next phrase means the darkness of the night when it is complete. Imam Malik has reported this very tafsir of gas from Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Thus, within the statement, between the decline of the sun and the darkness of the night, 4 prayers stand covered. These are Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, and also identified there is a time when 2 of these prayers begin. That is, the time of Zuhr begins from the decline, Zawal, of the sun, and the time of Isha from Gasak al-Layl, that is, at the time when the darkness of night is complete. Therefore, the great Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, has ruled that the time of Isha begins from the time when, after the red glow, the white glow of the evening also disappears. Everyone knows that, close to the sunset, a red glow appears on the western horizon, and soon after this redness, there spreads a sort of whiteness on it. Then, this whiteness, too, disappears. It is obvious that the darkness of the night will be complete only when the whiteness of the horizon also goes away. Therefore, these words support the view of Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him. Other Imams have ruled that the time of Isha begins after the disappearance of the red glow on the evening horizon, and that this is the tafsir of Gasak al-Layl, the darkness of night. In the next phrase, Qur and al-Fajr, translated as in the recital at dawn, the word Quran denotes Salah at this place because the Quran is an integral part of Salah. Most tafsir authorities, Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, Majari, and others have adopted this very meaning. Therefore, the sense of the verse is that the words, between the decline of the sun and the darkness of the night, carried a description of 4 prayers. Identified now is the 5th prayer of Fajr. It has been described separately, which is an indicator of the particular importance and merit of this Salah. The word mashhad and the expression kana mashhuda has been derived from shahada, that means to be present. This is a time when, according to clear statements in authentic hadith, both groups of angels, those of the night and those of the day, present themselves for Salah. Therefore it has been called mashhad, hence translated as well attended. The injunction of 5 prayers has appeared in this verse briefly. It has been explained fully by the Holy Prophet through his word and deed, and unless one acts in accordance with this explanation, no one can perform Salah. I just do not know how those who claim to understand the Quran without hadith and the statements of the Rasul of Allah go about making their Salah. Similarly, in this verse, the recital of the Quran within the Salah has also been mentioned briefly. As for its details, it stands proof from the word and deed of the Holy Prophet that the recitation in the Fajr prayer should belong to the measure of strength and ability, less than that in Zuhr and Jumu'ah, average in Asr and Isha, and very brief in Maghrib. As for the mention of a long recitation in Maghrib and very brief in Fajr in some reports, it stands practically abandoned. Imam al-Qurtubi carries the Ruwaya of Sahih Muslim in which the recitation of long surahs like Surah Al-Raf and Mursalat in the Salah of Maghrib, or the recitation of only the Mawahhatain, the last two surahs, as sufficient in the Salah of Fajr have been reported. He then comments, it means that these incidentals of long recitation in Maghrib and brief in Fajr stand abandoned in the light of the constant practice of the Holy Prophet as well as his verbal sayings. Qurtubi.
And from part of the night pray with it as additional worship for you. It is expected that your Lord will resurrect you to a praised station.
The time of the Salah of Tahajjud, injunctions and rulings. The word tahajjud, in and during the night, wake up for Salah, has been derived from hujud. This word is used for two opposite meanings, that of sleeping and that of waking both. But the words at this place mean be awake with the Quran in a part of the night, because the pronoun in, be hide with it, reverts back to the Quran. Majari, being awake with the Quran, means the making of Salah with full compliance of what it requires. This very nightly prayer is called the prayer of Tahajjud in the terminology of Sharia. Speaking generally, the sense in which it has been taken is that the prayer said after waking up from a short sleep is the Tahajjud. But according to Tafsir Majari, the sense of the verse is no more than sacrificing sleep to make Salah during some part of the night. The sense holds good for sleeping a little, then waking up from it and making Salah. Very similarly, it is also good if one begins by postponing sleep for Tahajjud and makes the Salah. The condition that one has to sleep before doing the prayer of Tahajjud is not found in the words used by the Quran. Apart from this, there are reports from Ahadith which support this general sense of Tahajjud. And the definition of the prayer of Tahajjud reported from Al-Hasan al-Basri, may Allah have mercy on him, by Imam Ibn Kathir, may Allah have mercy on him, also confirms this element of generality. The words of the report are as follows: may Allah have mercy on him. Al-Hasan al-Bari, may Allah have mercy on him, says, the prayer of Tahajjud holds good for every prayer that is said after Al-Isha, and because of actual practice, it will be applied to that which is said after some sleep. Ibn Kathir, the outcome is that being after sleep is no condition in the real sense of the prayer of Tahajjud, and this condition is not present in the words of the Quran as well. But speaking generally, it has been the constant practice of the Holy Prophet and his noble companions, may Allah be pleased with him, that they used to do their Tahajjud prayer after waking up in the later part of the night. Therefore, this would be the better way of doing it. Is the prayer of Tahajjud fard, obligatory, or nafil, additional? The words nafil and nafil in an additional prayer for you literally mean additional. Therefore, prayer, salah, and charity, sadaqah, karat, etc., that is not obligatory or necessary, and the doing of which brings the thawab, reward, and not doing which entails no sin or misconduct, are called nafil. In this verse, by looking at the words, an additional prayer for you, with the prayer of Tahajjud, it is summarily understood that the prayer of Tahajjud is particularly associated with the Holy Prophet as nafil for him. The fact, though, is that its effect as nafil is shared by all, the Holy Prophet and his entire ummah. Therefore, some respected early commentators have taken nafil at this place as an attribute of farda or duty. The meaning given by them is that the Muslim community at large is obligated with 5 daily prayers only, but Tahajjud has also been made an additional obligation on the Holy Prophet. So at this place, the word nafila appears in the sense of an additional obligation, not in the general sense of nafil. Let us look at the correct investigative position in this matter. When during the early stage of Islam, Surah Al-Muzammil was revealed, that was a time when 5 prayers had yet to be obligated. What everyone was obligated with was the prayer of Tahajjud. This obligation has been mentioned in Surah Al-Muzammil 73. Then it was in the night of the Mi'raj ascent that 5 prayers were made obligatory, fard. So as for the obligatory nature of Tahajjud, it was abrogated as a duty on the Muslim community at large, by consensus. However, difference did exist about its obligatory nature. Was it also abrogated in the case of the Holy Prophet? Or did it remain an obligation on him as a matter of special consideration? And in this verse, the expression nafilat al-ak means exactly that the prayer of Tahajjud is an additional obligation on you. But according to Tafsir Al-Qur'an, this is not correct for many reasons. Firstly, there is no justification for taking nafil as fard. If it is supposed to be figurative speech, then there will be no reality against it. Secondly, in authentic hadith, Only 5 fixed prayers have been mentioned as obligatory. Fard, at the end of another hadith, it has been said that the 50 prayers made obligatory initially in the nocturnal journey of the Mi'raj were later reduced in number and set at 5. Thus, the number was, though reduced, but the reward promised against these was that of no less than 50. Then it was said, "The word given to my servants will not be changed with me." Kaf, Surah Kaf, Ayah 29. It means, when a command was given for 50, the reward shall be given for no less than 50, though the number to be actually performed was reduced. The outcome of these narrative reports is no other, but that no salah other than the 5 prayers is obligatory, fard, on the Muslim ummah at large and on the Holy Prophet himself. Then there is a reason for it too. Had the word nafila been used here in the sense of an additional duty, then, rather than using the word la for you after it, the word used should have been alayk on you, since the latter signifies obligation while the word lak for you is used only for approval and permission. Similarly, this is the position declared to be correct and sound in Tafsir Majari, which says, when the obligatory status of tahajjud was abrogated in the case of the Muslim ummah, it stood abrogated in the case of the Holy Prophet as well. What remained was nafil for everyone. But this position raises a question. What is the singularity of the Holy Prophet in it? That it is nafil for everyone already stands proved. What, then, would be the outcome of saying, an additional prayer for you? The answer is that, according to clear statements of ahadith, all kinds of voluntary offerings and nafil ibadat made by the Muslim ummah expiate their sins and serve as complements to whatever shortcomings remain in the performance of their obligatory prayers. But the Holy Prophet is not only that he is infallible, ma'asum against sins, he is also above from any shortcomings in the observance of the etiquette of salah. Therefore, as far as he is concerned, nafil ibadat are nothing but additional. These cannot make amends for any shortcomings. Instead, these are simply a source of increased nearness to Allah. Quoted by Majari is the prayer of tahajjud nafil or Sunnah al-Makata. As for Sunnah al-Makata, they emphasize Sunnah. Muslim jurists have a standing rule. Whatever the Holy Prophet has done constantly, never leaving it unless under compulsion, is Sunnah al-Makata, except that it is proved on the authority of an Islamic legal argument that the particular act was special to the Holy Prophet and was not for the Muslim community in general. This rule will obviously require that the prayer of tahajjud should also be taken as Sunnah al-Makata for everyone and not a mere nafil. The reason is that the constancy of the Holy Prophet in the matter of this salah stands proved as an uninterrupted sunnah, and there is no proof of its being restricted to the Holy Prophet. Therefore, it should be Sunnah al-Mu'akkada for the Muslim ummah at large as well. This is the position Tafsir Majari rates as preferable, weightier, and worthier. In proof of this being emphasized, al-Mu'akkada, it has pointed out to the hadith in which the Holy Prophet said about a person who used to say his tahajjud prayer earlier but left it later, the shaitan has soiled his ear. Such a drastic admonition and warning does not sound an order against the abandonment of nafil only. This tells us that it is Sunnah al-Makata, an emphasized sunnah, and as for the respected elders who take the position that tahajjud is only a nafil, they declare this perseverance and constancy to be the hallmark of the Holy Prophet. Then, what he said as admonition against the abandonment of tahajjud by the person who used to do it before was not really said against its abandonment by him as such. Instead, it was said against first getting used to it and abandoning it. The reason is that a person who gets into the habit of doing a certain nafil must continue with it assiduously, and there is a consensus of the Muslim ummah on it. If one leaves it after being in the habit of doing it, he will be blameworthy because leaving it without excuse after the habit is the sign of certain evasion and reluctance. However, there is no blame on the person who is just not in the habit of doing it from the very beginning. Allah knows best. The number of isolated letters in the prayer of tahajjud. In the Sahih al-Bukhari in Muslim, as narrated by Sayyidah Isha, may Allah be pleased with him, the Holy Prophet would never say more than 11 raka'at in Ramadan or during months other than it. Out of these 11, according to the Hanafiya, 3 raka'at used to be that of witr, the remaining 8 being that of tahajjud. And in a narration of Sahih Muslim, the following words of Sayyidah Isha, may Allah be pleased with him, have been reported. The Holy Prophet used to say 13 raka'at during the night, which includes witr and 2 raka'at of the Sunnah of Fajr as well. Majari, the Sunnah of Fajr, has been counted with the nightly prayer because they are performed in almost the same sequence. These reports tell us that the usual habit of the Holy Prophet was to offer 8 raka'at in the prayer of tahajjud. But from a report coming from Sayyidah Isha, may Allah be pleased with him herself, it also stands proved that on occasions he has done less than that number 4 or 6 as being sufficient. When Sayyidina Masrat asked her about the prayer of tahajjud, she has been reported in the Sahih of Al-Bukhari to have said, there used to be 7, 9, and 11 rak'at other than the Sunnah of Fajr Majari from Al-Bukhari. According to the Hanafiya, if 3 rak'at are that of witr, 4 out of 7, 6 out of 9, and 8 out of 11 turn out to be the rak'at of tahajjud. In what manner was the prayer of tahajjud offered? Narrative reports, as they generally appear in ahadith, prove that the first 2 rak'at in the beginning were light with a brief recitation. Then in the rest of the rak'at, the recitation was long, and so were the ruku and sajda, and at times this length would become too much, and at others somewhat less. This is a summary of the hadith reports taken from Tafsir of Maarif-ul-Qur'an at this place. The praise station. The Holy Prophet has been promised Mecca Muhammad, the praise station, in this verse, and the station is, out of all prophets, particular to the Holy Prophet. As to its explanation, there are different sayings, but the most sound of them is what appears in authentic hadith in the words of the Holy Prophet himself. This station is the station of the grand intercession, al-Shafa al-Kubra. This will come to pass on the plains of resurrection, al-Hashar, when all children of Adam will be there requesting every prophet and messenger of Allah to intercede with him on their behalf. All prophets will offer their excuse. Only the Holy Prophet shall be blessed with the honorable station of interceding on behalf of the entire progeny of Adam. Hadith reports carry lengthy relevant details that appear in Tafsir Ibn Kathir and Majari at this point. The intercession made by prophets and the righteous will be accepted. Out of the Islamic sects, the Khawarij and the Mu'tazila deny the intercession of prophets. They say that a major sin will not be forgiven through intercession by anyone, but a hadith coming in uninterrupted succession prove that the intercession for sinners will be accepted from prophets, even from the righteous of the community. There will be many whose sins will be forgiven through intercession. Based on a report from Sayyidina Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, it appears in Ibn Majah and Al-Bayhaqi that the Holy Prophet said, on the day of Qiyamah, the blessed prophets will be the first to intercede on behalf of sinners, then the ulama, and then the shuhada. According to Dalami reporting from Sayyidina Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, the Holy Prophet said that the Halim will be told that he could intercede on behalf of his disciples, even if their number matches the number of stars. And Abu Dawud and Ibn Hibban carry a narration of Sayyidina Abu al-Darda, may Allah be pleased with him, with its chains ascending to the Holy Prophet, who said, the intercession made by a shahid will be accepted in favor of 70 people from his family. The Musnad of Ahmad, Al-Tabarani, and Al-Bayhaqi authentically report Sayyidina Abu Umama, may Allah be pleased with him, narrating that the Holy Prophet said, on the intercession of one person from my ummah, many people, more than the entire number of the people of the tribes of Rabi'at and Mudar, will be admitted to Jannah. The question and its answer. The question is when the Holy Prophet will himself intercede and no believer will remain in hell because of it. Why? And how will the ulama and the righteous intercede? The answer appears in Tafsir Majari. Perhaps the ulama and the righteous of the community will present their intercession in favor of whomsoever they wish before the Holy Prophet, who will then intercede with Allah Ta'ala. An important note. In a hadith, the Holy Prophet said, my intercession shall be for people who had committed major sins. This seems to tell us that those involved with major sins will be forgiven, particularly through the intercession of the Holy Prophet. Any angel or any individual from the Muslim community will not be able to intercede in the case of those who have committed major sins. Instead of that, the intercession made by the righteous of the Muslim community will be for those who were involved with minor sins. The station of intercession could be reached through the efficacy of the prayer of tahajjud. Hadrat Mujahid al-Thani, the famous religious revivalist of the first Islamic millennium in India, said that in this verse, the Holy Prophet was first given the command to make the prayer of tahajjud. Then he was promised the praise station, that is, station of grand intercession. This tells us that the prayer of tahajjud serves as a special via media in acquiring the station of intercession. Before we proceed to verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 8, let us recapitulate what was said in the verses previous to it. Mentioned there first were the pains inflicted on the Holy Prophet and the conspiracies that kept hatching to hurt and harm him. Along with it, it was also said that these hostile plans made by them will never succeed. In contrast, the Holy Prophet was being blessed with the real plan to offset their evil by prompting him to establish the 5 prayers and the tahajjud. Following that, he has been promised the praise station, the highest among all prophets, a promise to be fulfilled in the hereafter. Now in this verse, Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 80, and say, O my Lord, make me enter. The first relief to him against the hurtful and treacherous actions of the disbelievers was given by Allah Ta'ala within this world in the form of his migration to Medina. Then he was given the good news of the conquest of Mecca in and say, truth has come. 81.
And say, My Lord, cause me to enter a sound entrance and to exit a sound exit, and grant me from yourself a supporting authority.
It has been reported in Al-Jani of Tirmidhi, he from say, Ibn Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet was in Mecca al-Muazzama. Then he was commanded to migrate to Medina. Thereupon this verse was revealed, and say, O my Lord, make me enter a rightful entrance and make me exit a rightful exit. So, here the word mudkal and makraj, meaning the place of entry and the place of exit, are ism al-zarf, the noun of place and time, the addition of the attribute nat of sidq, translated as rightful, releases the sense of such entry and exit being totally true to the will and pleasure of Allah and in the best of attending circumstances, because the word to sidq is also used in the Arabic language for every such act as is correct and better both outwardly and inwardly. The words Yunus Surah Yunus, Ayah 2, Ash-Shu'ara Surah Ash-Shu'ara, Ayah 84, and Al-Qamar Surah Al-Qamar, Ayah 55, have been used in the Holy Quran in that very sense. Entrance means Medina, and the place of exit denotes Makkah. The sense takes the form of a prayer, O Allah, may my entry into Medina turn out to be good and smooth, without having to face anything unpleasant and unwelcome on arrival there. And may my exit from Mecca be good and smooth, without being entangled in love of country and home. There are other exegetic statements too which explain this verse, but this particular explanation has been reported from Hassan al-Basri, may Allah have mercy on him, and Qadada. Ibn Kathir calls it the most sound statement. Ibn Jarir too has gone by it. As for the order, it required that the exit should have been mentioned first while the entrance later. But the precedence of entrance and the succession of exit is there perhaps to indicate that the exit from Mecca had no purpose of its own. In fact, parting from the Baytullah was extremely shocking. But there was a purpose to look for peace, for Islam and Muslims, something that could be hoped for through the entry in Medina. Therefore, the objective to be achieved was made to come first. A prayer for important objectives. At the time of his migration to Medina, Allah Ta'ala asked the Holy Prophet to make this dua, which pleaded with him that his exit from Mecca and then the arrival in Medina should both be good and smooth in all possible ways. It was the outcome of this prayer that, though he was within the striking range of the pursuing disbelievers at the time of Hira, yet Allah Ta'ala shielded him at every step and finally made Medina al-Tayyibah good and promising for him and for all Muslims, both outwardly and inwardly. Therefore, some ulama have said that every Muslim should remember to make this prayer at the beginning of all objectives they wish to pursue, and that this prayer is beneficial for all objectives and purposes. The sentence which complements this very prayer appears next, and grant me from your own power favored by you, Qatada. The great Tabi'i says, the Holy Prophet knew that fulfilling his functional duties as a prophet and working while besieged by enemies were challenges he could not handle personally. Therefore, he prayed to Allah Ta'ala for help and the power to subdue. The prayer was answered, and everyone saw its effects.
And say, Truth has come, and falsehood has departed. Indeed is falsehood, by nature, ever bound to depart.
Verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 81, and say, Truth has come and falsehood has vanished, was revealed after Hira, about the conquest of Mecca. Sayyid ibn Masud, may Allah be pleased with him, says that on the day Mecca was conquered, the Holy Prophet entered Mecca. At that time, there were 360 idols standing around the Baytullah. Some ulama report a reason for this particular number. They say that the mushriks of Mecca had a separate idol for each day of the year that they used to worship on the given day. When the Holy Prophet reached there, this was the verse he had on his blessed lips, Truth has come and falsehood has vanished, while he went round striking at each single idol on the chest with his stick. Bukhari and Muslim. It appears in some hadith narratives that the end of this stick had a pewter or iron ferrule mounted on it. So when the Holy Prophet would hit an idol on the chest, it would fall back. In the end, when all idols fell down, he gave orders that they be demolished. Qutubi, with reference to Qadi Iyad and Al-Qushayri, it is necessary to erase customs and symbols of polytheism, disbelief and falsehood. Imam al-Qutubi said that this verse proves that it is wajib, necessary, obligatory, to erase the idols of mushriks, and all other polytheistic symbols and signs, and all such false instruments that are used in the way of sin and disobedience as well. They too come under the purview of the game injunction. Ibn al-Munhir said that pictures and sculpted figures made in wood or metal etc. also come under the injunction governing idols. The Holy Prophet had torn the curtain having pictures made on it in lines and colors. This, incidentally, tells us about the general injunctions covering common pictures. According to Sahih Hadith, when Sayyidina Isa will come towards the later times, he will undo the cross and eliminate the swine. These things prove that it is necessary to demolish and eliminate the instruments of shirk, kufr and batil.
And we send down of the Quran that which is healing and mercy for the believers, but it does not increase the wrongdoers except in loss.
We can now move to the last verse, Surah Al-Isra, ayah 82 cited above, and we reveal the Quran, which is a cure, that the Holy Quran cures hearts and delivers people from shirk and kafir, low morals and spiritual ailments, is no secret. The entire Muslim Ummah agrees with it. And according to some ulama, the way the Quran is a cure for spiritual ailments, it is also a cure for physical diseases. The sense is that reciting the verses of the Quran and blowing the breath on the body of the sick person, or to write its words on an amulet and putting it around the neck is also expected to be a cure for physical diseases. Hadith narratives bear testimony to it. The Hadith of Say, Ibn Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, can be seen in all books of Ahadith. It says that a party of the noble companions, may Allah be pleased with him, was in travel. In a village on their way, a scorpion had bitten the chief. The village people asked the companions if they could suggest some treatment for it. They recited the Surah Al-Fatiha 7 times, blew their breath on him, and the ailing patient stood cured. Later, when this incident was mentioned before the Holy Prophet, he declared this action of the companions to be permissible. Similarly, there are several other hadith reports which prove that the Holy Prophet has done it himself. After having recited the last 2 verses of the Quran, he would blow his breath on the sick person. It is also proved that the Sahaba and the Tabi'in used to treat sick people with the recital of the last 2 verses of the Quran as well as with the recital of other verses from it. That it was written and placed around the neck as an amulet also stands proved. Al-Qurtubi has given details about it under his commentary on this verse. The last sentence of the verse, and it adds nothing to the unjust but lost 82, tells us that the Holy Quran, when recited with faith and reverence, is certainly a cure. It is open. It is proven. Conversely, any denial of the Quran or irreverence to it could also become a source of loss and misfortunes.
And when we bestow favor upon the disbeliever, he turns away and distances himself. And when evil touches him, he is ever despairing.
See Surah Al-Isra, ayat 82 for the Tafsir.
Say, each works according to his manner, but your Lord is most knowing of who is best guided in way.
Commentary. Regarding the explanation of the word shakla in verse Surah Al-Isra, ayah 84, everyone acts in his own style. Several interpretations have been reported from authorities among the early righteous elders, such as disposition, habit, instinct, intention, way or manner. In some, all these turn into a second nature in terms of the circumstances, habits and customs everyone lives with. Thus, what one does remains subservient to it. Qurtubi, in this verse, human beings have been warned that they must abstain from bad surroundings, bad company and bad habits, and take to the company of good people and inculcate good habits, al-jassas. The reason, as stated earlier, is that one's response pattern built up under the influence of surrounding, company and custom makes one do what it dictates. Imam al-Jassas has also given another meaning of shakla at this place, that of like. Given this meaning, the sense of the verse would be that everyone feels comfortable with a person who is compatible with one's temperament. A good man finds another good man familiar, while a wicked man feels comfortable with another wicked man whose style he follows without any qualms of conscience. An example of this behavior pattern appears in what Allah says in the Quran. Evil women are for evil men, Surah An-Nur, ayah 26, and good women are for good men, Surah An-Nur, ayah 26. It means that everyone strikes familiarity with a man or woman according to one's own temperament. In short, this too is a warning against falling into bad company and bad habits. One should really make an effort to abstain from these.
And they ask you, O Muhammad, about the soul. Say, the soul is of the affair of my Lord, and mankind have not been given of knowledge except a little.
Commentary. The first verse, Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 85 appearing above carries a question posed by disbelievers about Ra, soul, spirit, along with its answer that came from Allah Ta'ala. The word al-Ra is used in the Arabic language and idiom and in the Holy Quran as well to convey several meanings. The well-recognized meaning taken from this word is common knowledge, that is, the soul on which depends life. In the Holy Quran, this word has also been used for the archangel Jibril al-Amin, Gabriel, the trustworthy. The trustworthy spirit has brought it down upon your heart. Ashura Surah Ashara, Ayah 193, 194. It has also been used for Sayyidina Isa Surah An-Nisa, Ayah 171, and Wahi Revelation Surah Ghafir, Ayah 15, and the Quran too. And we have revealed to you a spirit of our command, Surah Ashura, Ayah 52. What does Ra signify? Therefore, the first thing to be determined here is the intent of the questioners as to which meaning they had in mind when they had asked the question about the Ra. Some respected early commentators have, in view of the context, declared this question as related to revelation in Quran, or to Angel Jibril who brought it. The apparent reason is that the Quran was mentioned earlier in, and we revealed the Quran, and it is again the Quran that finds mention in the verses after that. Given this congruity, they found it appropriate to take Ra in this question to as signifying nothing but Wahi and Quran or Jibril. In that case, the question would be about how the Wahi or revelation came to him and who brought it. In response to the question, the Holy Quran considered it sufficient to say that the revelation was from the command of Allah. It elected to be silent about its details and modalities that the questioners were seeking. But the background of the revelation of this verse, given in authentic hadith ascending to the Holy Prophet, is just about very clear in respect of the nature of the question. Those asking the question had asked about the living Ra, and the underlying purpose was to find out the reality of Ra. What is it? How does it come in and go out of the human body? How does it make man and animal come alive? According to the Sahih al-Bukhari in Muslim, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, narrates, once I was walking with the Holy Prophet through an unpopulated part of Medina. He had a stick from the branch of a date palm in his blessed hand. When he passed by some Jews, they were talking among themselves, Muhammad is coming. Ask him about the Ra. Others asked them not to do that. But those bent on asking went ahead and asked the question. After having heard the question, the Holy Prophet reclined on his stick and stood silent, which gave me the inkling that the revelation was about to come on him. After a little while, when the revelation had come to him, he recited the verse, and they ask you about the Ra at this point. It is understandable that it was a terminology of the Quran when it called the Quran, or Wahi, revelation, as Ra. That the question asked by these people was based on it is too far out. Of course, the matter of the living Ra, human or animal, is such as would naturally emerge in everyone's mind. Therefore, the majority of commentators, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Jarir, Al-Qurtubi, Abu Hayyan, Al-Lusi, confirm the view that the question related to the reality of the living Ra. As for the continuity of references to the Quran in the context, and that the question-answer interlude about Ra coming in between would be incoherent, its answer is clear. Previous verses have mentioned hostile questions asked by the disbelievers and mushriks. Their objective thereby was to test the Holy Prophet concerning his claim to be a messenger of Allah. This question, too, is a link of the same chain. Therefore, it is not incoherent. There is yet another authentic hadith reported about the background of the revelation of this verse particularly. The position being explained here has been covered there more explicitly. That is, the purpose of the questioner was to test the authority of the Holy Prophet as a messenger. Accordingly, a report of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, appearing in the Musnad of Ahmad, says that the Quraysh of Makkah, who kept addressing all sorts of questions to the Holy Prophet, hit upon the idea that the Jews were learned and knew about past scriptures. Why not ask them about what to ask the Holy Prophet and test him thereby? Therefore, they sent their men to the Jews seeking their guidance in this matter. They told them to ask about the Ra. Ibn Kathir, Sayyidina ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, has also been reported to have said in his explanation of this verse that the Jews had also said, while asking this question, you tell us, how does punishment affect the Ra? By that time, nothing had been revealed to the Holy Prophet about it. Therefore, he did not answer the question instantly at that time. Then came Angel Jibril with the verse, say, the Ra is from the command of my Lord. Abridged from Ibn Kathir, the incident of the question, did it happen in Makkah or Medina? Before we resolve this aspect of the question, we have to consider the two hadith reports relating to the background of the revelation of this verse, that of Sayyidina ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, referred to above. Out of the two, according to the report of Sayyidina ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, this incident about the question came to pass in Medina, and that is the reason why some commentators have declared this verse to be Madani, though a major portion of Surah Bani Israel, Al-Isra, is Makki. As for the report from Sayyidina ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, it places the incident in Makkah. In accordance with that, this verse too remains Makki like the whole surah. Therefore, Ibn Kathir has declared this buried probability to be weightier and more acceptable. And as for the report of Sayyidina ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, he responds by saying that it is possible that this verse was revealed in Medina a second time, as a repeated revelation of many verses of the Quran is an accepted fact in the sight of all ulama. And Tafsir Majari, by declaring the report of Sayyidina ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, as weightier and more acceptable, has determined the incident to be that of Medina and the verse to be Madani. It gives two reasons for it. Firstly, this report appears in the two Sahihs of Al-Bukhari and Muslim, and its authority is stronger as compared to the report of Sayyidina ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Secondly, in this report, Sayyidina ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, is a part of the incident. He is narrating an event that was his own. This makes it contrary to the report of Sayyidina ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, where, it is obvious, he would have heard it as told by someone, because he was too young at that time to witness the occurrence, the answer to the question asked. The Holy Quran said, "Say, the right is from the command of my Lord." While explaining the answer, statements and interpretations given by commentators differ. The closest and the clearest of these is what Kadithanullah Panipati has preferred in his Tafsir Mahari. He says, only what was necessary and what common people would understand has been told, and the full reality of Ra, that the question sought, was not unfolded because it was beyond the comprehension of common people, and, for that matter, nothing they needed hinged on understanding it. Here, the Holy Prophet was asked to respond by saying that the right is from the command of my Lord. In other words, it is not like the usual created that come into existence through the dispersal of matter and procreation. In fact, it is something created directly through the command, Kun bi Allah Ta'ala. At least, this much of the answer makes it clear that Ra cannot be taken on the analogy of common matter, which removes all those doubts that emerge as a result of trying to understand Ra through the prism of materialistic inquiry. The hard truth is that this much knowledge of Ra is sufficient for man. No business, religious or worldly, depends on knowing more than that. Therefore, taking that part of the question as redundant and unnecessary, it was not answered, especially when understanding its reality is something not easy even for the wisest of the wise, not to say much about the common people. Answering every question is not necessary unless religiously advisable. Imam Abu Bakr al-Jassas, may Allah have mercy on him, has deduced from this answer the ruling that it is not necessary for the Mufti and Alim to answer every question in every aspect from it as posed by the questioner. Instead of doing that, the answer should be given with religious advisability kept in sight. Any answer that is above the comprehension of the addressee, or should there be the danger of his or her falling into misunderstanding, then such an answer should not be given. Similarly, not to be answered are questions that are unnecessary. Layanai, yes, should there be a person who faces a situation in which he must act one way or the other, and who is no alim, then it is necessary for the Mufti and Alim to give an answer in the light of his knowledge. Jassas Imam al-Bukhari has devoted a chapter heading in Kit at al-Ilm to highlight this point. He has said that a question the answer to which is likely to cause misunderstanding should not be answered, whether or not it is possible for anyone to have the knowledge of the reality of Ra. The Holy Quran has given an answer to this question in accordance with the need and comprehension of the addressee. It has not elected to unfold the reality of Ra, but it does not necessarily imply that no human being can simply understand the reality of Ra, and that the Holy Prophet also did not know its reality. The truth of the matter is that this verse neither negates nor confirms it. If a prophet or messenger were to come to know its reality through wahi, revelation, or a wali, man of Allah, through kashf, illumination, and ilm, inspiration, then it is not contrary to this verse. In fact, even if this matter is debated and investigated in terms of reason and philosophy, it would certainly be called useless and unnecessary, but it cannot be called impermissible. Therefore, many learned scholars from the early and later period of Islam have written standard books about Ra. In our period, my venerated teacher, Sheikh al-Islam Shabir Ahmad Asmani, has presented this issue admirably in a small tract. Here, he has explained its reality to the measure it is possible for a common person to understand, and an educated one to find sufficient enough to avoid doubts and difficulties. An important note. At this juncture, Imam al-Bayt, who has carried a detailed report from Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, as follows. This verse was revealed in Makkah al-Mukarramah. It happened at a time when the Quraysh chiefs of Makkah got together and talked about the problem that Muhammad was born amongst us and grew up into a young man. No one ever doubted his trustworthiness, honesty, and truthfulness, and he was never accused by anyone of having told a lie. Yet, despite all that, we just do not understand the claim of being a prophet he was now making. Therefore, let us do something about it, like sending our delegation to the Jewish scholars of Medina and get a learned opinion about him from them. So, a delegation from the Quraysh met the Jewish scholars in Medina. They advised, we tell you 3 things. Ask him about these 3. If he answers all 3, he is no prophet. Similarly, if he does not answer any of the 3, he is still no prophet. And if he answers 2, not answering the 3rd, be certain that he is the prophet. They proposed 3 questions. 1. Ask him about those in the past who had sought refuge in a cave to stay safe from shirk because their account is unique. 2. Ask him about the person who had traveled through the east and west of the earth and what had happened to him. 3. Ask him about the Ra, soul, spirit. This detail is in accordance with Ma'awan al-Tanzil p. 134, the 4 Muhammad Taqi Asmani. The delegation returned and posed those 3 questions before the Holy Prophet. He said, I shall give you the answer to these tomorrow, but he did not say, Inshallah, with it. The outcome was that the channel of Wahi, revelation, remained discontinued for a few days. There are various reports that put the number of days from 12, 15 to 40 during which it stood stopped. The Quraysh of Makkah had their opportunity to hurl taunts. We were promised an answer tomorrow. Now so many days have passed, and we have no answer. This caused the Holy Prophet too to become anxious. Then came Angel Jibreel with the verse, and never say about anything, I will do that tomorrow without saying, Inshallah, if Allah wills. Surah Al-Kahf, ayah 23-24, and after that, he recited the verse about the Ra mentioned above. Then came the revelation of the verses relating to the people of Kahf, and the event of Dhul-Qarnayn who had traveled from the east to the west, which is to appear in Surah Al-Kahf. A detailed answer has been given there by narrating the story of the people of Kahf and Dhul-Qarnayn, while the question concerned with the reality of the Ra was not answered, which made the sign of the veracity of prophecy given by the Jews manifest. Tirmidhi, he has also described this event briefly. Mahari, investigative observations on the reality of Ra, soul, spirit, and nafs, self, have appeared earlier in this volume under verse Surah Al-Isra, ayah 29 of Surah Al-Hayr. I have blown into him of my spirit, Surah Al-Hayr, ayah 29, presented with reference to Tafsir Majari. It makes the kinds of Ra along with the reality of each sufficiently clear.
And if we willed, we could surely do away with that which we revealed to you. Then you would not find for yourself concerning it an advocate against us.
We can now move to verse Surah Al-Isra, ayah 86, and if we so will, we will surely take away. It will be recollected that, in the previous verse Surah Al-Isra, ayah 85, by giving an answer to the question about Ra as true to the measure of its necessity, the underlying effort to find out the reality of the Ra was blocked, and it was declared that man's knowledge, no matter how much, still remains relatively insignificant in terms of the great span of the ultimate reality of things. Therefore, getting entangled with unnecessary debates and investigations is a waste of precious time. Present verse, and if we so will, indicates that the sum total of whatever knowledge human beings have been given, even that is no private property of theirs, Allah Ta'ala can, if He so wills, take away that too. Therefore, they should be grateful to Allah for whatever of knowledge they have and stay away from wasting time in redundant and unnecessary investigations, especially when pure investigation is just not the objective, instead, testing others or belittling them is. If one did that, it is not out of the realm of possibility that this crookedness may result in all that one has in the name of knowledge taken away in toto. The address in this verse is, though to the Holy Prophet, but the purpose is to really make his followers listen and get the message, where even the knowledge of the Rasul of Allah is not within his exclusive power and control. Not much can be said about others.
Except we have left it with you as a mercy from your Lord. Indeed, His favor upon you has ever been great.
See Surah Al-Isra, ayah 86, for the tafsir.
Say, if mankind and the jinn gathered in order to produce the like of this Quran, They could not produce the like of it, even if they were to each other assistants.
The subject in verse Surah Al-Isra, ayat 88, if all humans and jinns join together, appears in some other verses of the Holy Qur'an as well, challenging the humankind. It has been said there, if you do not take the Qur'an to be the word of Allah, rather take it to be a word of man, then you too are human. Why would you not come up with its like? Along with that challenge, it was also said in this verse, not the humankind alone, you are welcome to join up with jinns, but you, while combined together, will still be unable to come out with one surah, even one verse like that of the Qur'an. The repetition of this subject at this place may possibly be to show the futility of what the deniers of the message were trying to do. Here they were trying to test the veracity of the mission of a prophet of Allah by asking all sorts of questions, the one about the Rabb being one of them. Being an exercise in futility, why would they go about digging into unnecessary issues only to determine whether or not the prophet said to them was true? Why they would not look into the Qur'an as it is? It leaves no room for doubt in the veracity of the Holy Prophet as prophet and messenger of Allah. The reason is simple. When the humans and jinns of the whole world are incapable of producing the least like of it, what doubt could there be in that it is but the divine word? And once it is proved so manifestly that the Holy Qur'an is divine word, hardly any doubt remains in that the Holy Prophet was a true prophet and messenger of Allah.
And we have certainly diversified for the people in this Quran from every kind of example, but most of the people refused anything except disbelief.
The last verse, and surely we have explained, tells us that the Holy Qur'an stands out as a miracle so clear that it leaves no room for any question and doubt. Still, what is happening is that people do not thank Allah for His blessings, do not even recognize the real worth of the blessing of the Qur'an, and keep wandering around in error.
And they say, we will not believe you until you break open for us from the ground a spring.
Commentary. A prophetic answer to hostile questions sounding absurd. The questions asked and the demands made in these verses from the Holy Prophet were virtually conditions on the fulfillment of which his antagonists were supposed to believe. These conditions are such that anyone who hears them would find them nothing but some sort of weird mockery, and certainly a very absurd excuse for not believing. While having to respond to such questions, one becomes naturally angry and retorts in the same manner. But the answer that Allah taught His Prophet to give against their impertinent questions reported in this verse is something significant for everyone, particularly so for the leaders and reformers of the Muslim community, who would do well to always remember it, making it a regular feature of their work among people. Is it not that, in answer to all that, nothing was said about their lack of sense, nor mention was made of their hostile mischief, nor there was any verbal duel fought against them? Instead, the truth of the matter was made clear to them in very simple words. In effect, they were told, perhaps you think that a person who comes as a messenger of Allah should also be the possessor of all divine powers and should be able to control everything. This is a mistaken notion. The duty of a messenger of Allah is only to convey the divine message. It is a different matter that Allah would also send many miracles to prove the veracity of the mission of His apostles, prophets and messengers. But that takes place exclusively with the power and under the control of Allah Ta'ala. A Rasul, messenger, is not given divine powers. He is a human being, and is never outside the framework of human power, except that Allah Ta'ala alone were to manifest His great subduing power to help him.
Or until you have a garden of palm trees and grapes, and make rivers gush forth within them in force and abundance.
See Surah Al-Isra, ayat 90, for the Tafsir.
Or you make the heaven fall upon us in fragments as you have claimed, or you bring Allah and the angels before us.
See Surah Al-Isra, ayat 90, for the Tafsir.
Or you have a house of gold, or you ascend into the sky, and even then we will not believe in your ascension until you bring down to us a book we may read. Say, exalted is my Lord. Was I ever but a human messenger?
See Surah Al-Isra, ayah 90, for the Tafsir.
And what prevented the people from believing when guidance came to them, except that they said, has Allah sent a human messenger?
Only a human being can be a messenger of Allah. Angels cannot be sent as messengers to human beings. Common disbelievers and polytheists thought that Bashar, that is, a man, could not be the messenger of Allah because he is someone accustomed to all human compulsions like them. When so, what edge did he have over them to make them call him the messenger of Allah and take him as their leader, claiming that they follow him? This assumption of theirs has been answered in the Holy Qur'an at several places in various ways. The outcome of the answer given here in this verse, and nothing prevented people, is that a messenger of Allah sent to a set of people has to be from their genus or race. If these people are human, the messenger should be human, because mutual congruity does not exist between one genus and the other, and without congruity, guidance and grooming bring no benefit. Had some angel been sent to man as their messenger, he would have known no hunger, or thirst, or sexual desires, nor would he have felt the effect of chill and heat, nor fatigue after hard work. He would have then expected human beings to act like him without having ever realized their weaknesses and limitations. Similarly, when human beings knew that he was an angel, after all, they would have come to the conclusion that they just did not have the ability to do what he did. Who would have then followed him? Following is the fruit of correction, reform, and right guidance. This benefit can be hoped for only when the messenger of Allah is from the genus of men. He should be an embodiment of human emotions and physical desires, while, at the same time, he should also have an angelic majesty that could serve as a liaison, intermediary communicator between human beings and angels, receiving revelation from angels, bringing it and communicating it to his fellow human beings. This submission also removes the doubt that arises by thinking, when human beings cannot derive benefit from the angel, how would a messenger, despite being human, derive the benefit of revelation from them? As for the doubt when the compatibility of genus is a condition between a messenger and his people, how was the Holy Prophet made a messenger of the jinns, for they are not from the same genus as men? It can be answered by saying that the messenger is not simply a human being. Instead, he also has an angelic majesty about him, because of which jinns too could also be congruous to him.
Say, if there were upon the earth angels walking securely, we would have sent down to them from the heaven an angel as a messenger.
In the last verse, Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 95, it was said that they, despite being human, cannot demand that their messenger should be an angel. This demand was unreasonable. Yes, if angels had been living on the earth, and there was the need to send a messenger to them, then indeed an angel would have been sent as a messenger. It will be noted that the attribute of angels living on the earth has been described here in the words, walking about in peace. This tells us that the need to send an angel deputed as a messenger to other angels would have come up only at a time when the angels of the earth could not themselves go to the heavens, rather remained living on the earth alone. Otherwise, had they themselves possessed the power to go to the heavens, there would have remained just no need to send a messenger to the earth.
Say, sufficient is Allah as witness between me and you. Indeed, He is ever, concerning His servants, acquainted and seeing.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 95 for the Tafsir.
And whoever Allah guides, he is the rightly guided. And whoever He sends astray, we will never find for them protectors besides Him. And we will gather them on the day of resurrection, fallen on their faces, blind, deaf and dumb. Their refuge is hell. Every time it subsides, we increase them in blazing fire.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 95 for the Tafsir.
That is their recompense, because they disbelieved in our verses and said, when we are bones and crumbled particles, will we truly be resurrected in a new creation?
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 95 for the Tafsir.
Do they not see that Allah, who created the heavens and earth, is the one able to create the likes of them, and He has appointed for them a term, about which there is no doubt, but the wrongdoers refuse anything except disbelief.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 95 for the Tafsir.
Say to them, if you possessed the depositories of the mercy of my Lord, then you would withhold out of fear of spending, and ever has man been stingy.
Commentary. The truth of the matter about what has been said in the last verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 100 is that the treasures of the mercy of Allah are limitless and endless. They are never going to end, but man is by nature narrow-minded, short on courage. When it comes to giving, he is not motivated enough to share what he has with others. Commentators generally take the expression the treasures of the Lord's blessing or mercy to mean the treasures of wealth. This has its link with previous verses, where the disbelievers of Makkah had demanded that the Holy Prophet should, if he was really a prophet, in truth make rivers flow in the barren desert of Makkah and transform it into lush green farms, like the land of Syria. The answer to this was given right there 93, saying in effect, "This is as if you have taken me to be nothing short of God, whose authority you want me to exercise. As for me, I am only a messenger of Allah, not Allah. I cannot do what I will." If we see this verse in this context, it would mean, if you are asking me to turn this desert land of Makkah into a green land to test my veracity as prophet and messenger, then the miracle of the eloquence of the Qur'an is sufficient to prove that there is no need for any other demands. And if this is to meet the needs of your country and people, remember that, even if you are given everything you demand for the land of Makkah, and all sorts of treasures with it, it would not result in the prosperity of the masses of your country. In fact, human nature will take its course, and whoever gets hold of these treasures will sit on them like legendary serpents. Tell them to spend it on the people, and you will see them all consumed by the fear that it will go out of their hands. In a situation like this, if a few rich men of Makkah get to be richer and opulent, what are the masses of people going to get out of it? Most commentators have declared this to be the sense of the verse. My master and mentor, Hadrat Avi, may Allah have mercy on him, in his Bayan al-Quran, has interpreted my Lord's mercy as the station of prophethood and messengership, and the treasures of mercy as the varied perfection of prophethood. Given this tafsir, this verse will be linked with previous verses by saying, "The outcome of all those absurd demands you are making against my status as a prophet and messenger of Allah is that you just do not want to believe in it. Do you then want that the function of prophethood should be entrusted in your hands, so that you can make anyone a prophet at your sweet will? If such a wish were to be granted, the consequence would be that you would never give prophethood or messengership to anyone, sitting over it like misers." After having given this explanation, he has added that this tafsir is something that comes as one of the many divine gifts. It fits the occasion. Interpreting prophethood in the setting with mercy would be similar to its interpretation in the verse of Surah Al-Isra. It was said, "Do they distribute the mercy of your Lord?" Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 32. Here, Rahmah, mercy, means nothing but nubuwwah, prophethood, and there is a consensus on it. Allah knows best.
And we had certainly given Moses 9 evident signs. So ask the children of Israel about when he came to them, and Pharaoh said to him, "Indeed, I think, O Moses, that you are affected by magic."
Commentary. The first verse, Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101, mentions the bestowal of 9 clear signs on Sayyidina Musa. The word ayah carries the meaning of miracle or sign as well as that of the ayat or verses of the Quran, that is, the divine injunctions. At this place, the probability of both meanings exists. Therefore, a number of commentators have taken the word ayat to mean miracles, and the number 9 does not make it necessary that they will not be more than 9, but at this place, the figure 9 has been mentioned on the basis of some particular importance it has. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, has enumerated these miracles as follows. 1. The staff of Sayyidina Musa, which turned into a huge snake. 2. The hand that emitted light when placed under and taken out of the armpit. 3. The removal of stammering from his tongue. 4. The splitting of the water barrier in 2 sections to give safe passage to the Bani Israel to cross it. 5. The sending of the punishment through locusts in unusual circumstances. 6. The sending of the storm. 7. The clothes on their bodies were infested with countless lice they had no escape from. 8. The punishment of frogs was released on them when frogs would appear in everything they ate or drank. 9. The punishment of blood was sent that filled every utensil and mingled with whatever they ate or drank. And Nisa hadith tells us that the word ayat used here means divine injunctions. This hadith has been reported in Abu Dawud and Nasai, Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah on the authority of Sayyidina Safwan ibn al-Athal. He says that a Jew asked one of his friends to take him to the Prophet. The friend said, "Do not call him a prophet. If he finds out that we too call him a prophet, he will have 4 eyes on him, that is, he will have an opportunity to wallow in his pride and glee." Then they came to the Holy Prophet and asked him as to what were the 9 clear signs given to Sayyidina Musa. He said, 1. Do not ascribe any partners to Allah. 2. Do not steal. 3. Do not fornicate. 4. Do not unjustly take the life of the one whose killing has been forbidden by Allah. 5. Do not falsely impute anyone innocent with charges liable to the sentence of death or any other punishment. 6. Do not practice magic. 7. Do not devour interest. 8. Do not level a false accusation of fornication on a chaste woman. 9. Do not desert the battlefield in jihad for fear of being killed. And he also said, O Jews, it has also been specially enjoined on you that you shall not contravene the particular injunctions of the observance of the day of Sabbath, Saturday, given to you. Hearing what the Holy Prophet said, they both kissed his hands and feet and declared, We bear witness that you are the Prophet of Allah. He said, What is it then that stops you from following me? They said that Sayyidina Dawud had prayed to his Lord for prophets to always keep appearing from among his progeny, and we are scared that the Jews will kill us if we started following you. Since this explanation of the verse stands proved on the authority of Sahih Hadith, therefore this is what many commentators have preferred to go by.
Moses said, You have already known that none has sent down these signs except the Lord of the heavens and the earth as evidence. And indeed I think, O Pharaoh, that you are destroyed.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
So he intended to drive them from the land, but we drowned him and those with him altogether.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
And we said after Pharaoh to the children of Israel, Dwell in the land, and when there comes the promise of the hereafter, we will bring you forth in one gathering.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
And with the truth we have sent the Quran down, and with the truth it has descended, and we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a bringer of good tidings and a warner.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
And it is a Quran which we have separated by intervals, that you might recite it to the people over a prolonged period, and we have sent it down progressively.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
Say, believe in it or do not believe. Indeed, those who were given knowledge before it, when it is recited to them, they fall upon their faces in prostration.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
And they say, Exalted is our Lord. Indeed, the promise of our Lord has been fulfilled.
See Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 101 for the Tafsir.
And they fall upon their faces weeping, and the Quran increases them in humble submission.
About the last sentence, and they fall down on their faces weeping, and it increases them in the humbleness of heart. It appears in Tafsir Majari that being in tears while reciting the Quran stands as a highly recommended and reward-worthy act. Mustahad, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, narrates that the Holy Prophet said, A person who wept in fear of Allah shall not go to hell until milk is returned to the udder after having been milked. It means, as it is not possible to put milk once milked back into the udder, very similarly, it is also not possible that a person who weeps in fear of Allah were to go to hell. And says another report, Allah Ta'ala has forbidden the fire of hell on two eyes, the eye that weeps in fear of Allah, and the eye that stays awake at nights guarding the Islamic frontiers. Bayhaqi and Hakim and Sayyidina Nadr ibn Sa'd, may Allah be pleased with him, reports that the Holy Prophet said, The people, among whom there is someone who weeps in fear of Allah, will be delivered from the fire of hell because of him. Al-Ma'ani from Tirmidhi. The reason for the big trouble Muslims are in today is no other, but that there are very few left among them who would weep fearing Allah. After reporting the hadith showing the merits of weeping in fear of Allah at this point, the author of Al-Ma'ani says, and that is the state the ulama should be in, because Ibn Jarir, Ibn al-Muntir and others have quoted the following saying of Abd al-Taymi, a person who has received the kind of knowledge that does not make him cry because of having realized the reality of things should be enough to make you understand that he has not been given the knowledge that brings benefits.
Say, call upon Allah or call upon the Most Merciful, whichever name you call, to Him belong the best names. And do not recite too loudly in your prayer, or too quietly, but seek between that an intermediate way.
Commentary. These are the last verses of Surah Bani Israel, Al-Isra. The surah began with the declaration of the purity and oneness of Allah Ta'ala, And this is how it is being concluded. The revelation of these verses was based on some events. The first one came to pass on a certain day when the Holy Prophet, during his supplication, said, Ya Allah and Ya Rahman. The mushriks thought that he was calling two gods. They said, He forbids us to call anyone else other than the one, while he himself calls two deities. The answer to this comment was given in the first part of the verse by saying that the Most Exalted Allah does not have a mere two names. He has many more names, and all of them are the best of names. Call him by any of these, and it means the one and only Allah. So it was made clear that their apprehensions on that count were wrong. As for the second incident, when the Holy Prophet would recite the Quran loudly during Salah, the mushriks made fun of him and passed audacious remarks berating the Quran, Archangel Jibreel, even Allah Ta'ala. In response to that, a last part of this very verse was revealed, where he has been advised to take to a middle course between the loud and the low, as the average voice took care of the functional necessity. And as for the opportunity, the mushriks had to cause pain to them over the loud pitch of the voice. They would be relieved of that too. The third problem was that the Jews and Christians proposed children for Allah Ta'ala, and the pagan Arabs said that idols were partners of Allah. The Sabians and the Magians used to hold that not being particularly close to Allah amounted to a personal loss of worth and honor. In answer to these three religious groups, the last verse was revealed, where their three notions have been refuted. It will be noted that in this world, the one from whom strength and support is received is sometimes younger than one, like children, and sometimes an equal, like a partner, and sometimes older than one, like a supporter and helper. Here in this verse, Allah Ta'ala has refuted all three in the same order. Ruling. The etiquette of recitation in Salah, as given in verse no, is that it should not be in a voice raised very high, nor should it be in a voice so lower that those standing behind in the congregation cannot hear it. This injunction, as obvious, is particular with prayers wherein the recitation is voiced. As for the prayers of Zuhr and Asr, the recitation therein is totally unvoiced, as proved from uninterrupted Sunnah. In prayers with voiced recitation, included there are the fard of Maghrib, Isha and Fajr, as well as the prayer of Tahajjud, as in a hadith which says, Once the Holy Prophet passed by Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, at the time of Tahajjud. Sayyidina Abu Bakr was reciting in a lowered voice, while Sayyidina Umar was reciting in a loud voice. The Holy Prophet said to Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, why would you recite in such a lowered voice? Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, The one I wanted to talk to in secret, him I have made to hear, because Allah Ta'ala hears every voice, even the lowest of the low. The Holy Prophet said, Recite somewhat loudly. Then he said to Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, why do you recite in such a loud voice? Sayyidina Umar, may Allah have mercy on him, said, I recite loudly to wake up the drowsy and shaitan. He ordered him to, You should recite in a voice somewhat lowered. Term it, he has quoted Majari, problems and their solutions relating to the loud or lowered rendering of the recitation of the Quran in Salah, or on occasions other than it, have been already explained in Surah Al-Isra. See commentary under verse Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 55, Volume Roman 3, about the last verse beginning with, Say, Alhamdulillah, praise belongs to Allah. The hadith says that this is the ayah, verse of Izzah, power and glory. The reference is to the efficacy of the verse in seeking the help of Allah to overcome weaknesses and difficulties. Reported by Ahmad and At-Tabarani on the authority of Sayyidina Mu'ad al-Juhani, as in Majari, this verse also provides an essential guidance. The drive of the meaning is that it does not matter how much one devotes to the worship of Allah. One is still obligated to take his or her deed to be deficient as compared with his due right, and confess to the likely shortfall in performing it. Majari.
And say, Praise to Allah, who has not taken a son, and has had no partner in his dominion, and has no need of a protector out of weakness, and glorify him with great glorification.
And Sayyidina Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, has said that a child from the tribe of Bani Abd al-Muttalib, when able to say meaningful words, was taught to recite this verse by the Holy Prophet. Then he recited the verse, and say, Praise belongs to Allah, who has neither taken to him a son, nor is there any partner to him in his kingdom, nor is anyone needed to protect him because of any weakness. And proclaim his greatness, and open proclamation 111. Majari, and Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, has said that once he went out with the Holy Prophet in a manner that his hand was in Holy Prophet's hands. He passed by a person who was disheveled and worried. He asked, What brought you to this condition? That person said, "Sickness and poverty have done this to me." He said, "I am going to tell you a few words. If you recite these, your sickness and poverty will go away." The words were, "I place my trust in the ever-living who is not to die. Praise belongs to Allah, who has neither taken to him a son, nor is there any partner to him in his kingdom, nor is anyone needed to protect him because of any weakness, and proclaim his greatness in open proclamation." Surah Al-Isra, Ayah 111. After the passage of some time, when he went that way, he found his condition good and showed his pleasure about it. That person told him, "Since the time you taught me these words, I recite them punctually." Abu Yala and Ibn al-Sunni, as quoted by Majari, the Tafsir of Surah Bani Israel, ends here. With the help of Allah. After Al-Isha, Jumada I, 1390 Hira. Praise be Allah from the beginning to the end. A personal postscript by the author. While writing these lines, this humble servant of Allah has completed full 75 years of his age on 21. Shaban 1390 Hira. Year 76 opens amidst diseases of different kinds, including the natural weakness that sets in at this age. Then there is the mass of things to do and problems to resolve. Who can look forward to the task of writing beyond this point, for it would be hoping against hope. But when it comes to the service of the Quran, things become different. When someone does something in the name of the Quran, no matter how insignificant, it becomes for a servant of Allah a matter of good fortune and honor. This thought led me to begin the Tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf with the name of Allah. The idea was to take whatever it was possible to do during the years of life left as sufficient and good enough, because the purpose is not to finish the Quran, the purpose is to consume one's years and energy into the Quran. And Allah is the over of ability, and the helper of the effort made in his way. Abridged from the detailed note.